Hey there, comic book friend. It's comic book round table time, and I'm Travis. And with me tonight, I have Rez Reeds. How's it going, Rez?
Good. Perfect. Great one at night.
The show's been gone for a little over a month now. A little short on guests, and Rez has taken the bullet for us and is going to be on the show. So I'm not here talking about myself, and we're gonna talk some books. We threw the imaginary three-sided coin up in the air, and it came up DC. So that's what we're going to talk about DC first. So what DC books do you want to talk about?
Ooh, I'm very tempted to talk about the latest issue of Detective Comics.
Right.
Yeah.
Detective Comics.
Oh yeah, good variant. Way better than mine.
What? I think mine's the regular cover.
Is it? Okay, yeah, I do usually get the variant covers. And I for some reason variant just in my mind always, it always gives me the indication it may be better, but no.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this particular issue simply because we see more of Kate Kane, aka Batwoman, and so we kind of learn more about how she got started in her endeavors of taking on the personification of Batwoman, and I really like seeing her kind of come kind of full circle and get introduced to Batman and his ways, and then also the relationship between her and her father in this issue.
Right.
Yeah, it was just really good issue. I think it just and I don't know about you, but for some reason the first few pages where we see her studying Batman from like that part was a little bit different once we got thrown into the second act where she comes head on with a former protege of her father's of that one organization that they were, I guess, that she's trying to fight against, and we're learning her true, I guess, what her true mission is. And while we have Batman, who is usually trying to fight crime in Gotham City, whilst where Batwoman's true mission is to fight war in general. And I guess we're gonna find out more later on in her own spin-off series what exactly that war is. But they did have Monster Men make appearance.
Right.
I didn't read, but I think I got enough.
Well, yeah, I think you've been reading Detective for a while now, right?
Yeah, I've been reading it for quite a
few. So they, like in the last issue, they talked about the fact that they were trying to gather up all the samples because, of course, they had those giant dead monsters laying around. So they kind of explained that biohazardous stuff that people are trying to steal it and then make their own, weapons out of it and stuff. So that's kind of what that comes from. I think that really gave you enough that you didn't need to read that whole. Quite honestly, the fiasco that was Monster Man, that was not a good.
Yeah.
That wasn't a really very good story. I really like the beginning of it because the art. Well, you're right, the art was different, but the art is, the art is. She looks younger, which she should be, because that's back in the day when she was still kind of stalking Batman to figure out what her purpose is. I really liked these two stories to kind of separate her from Batman, because it's really easy criticism to go, oh, look, she's just, she's Batman with boobs and call it good. So she has her own drive, and I like that. She has her own mission, and she's more mission driven as opposed to, I would say, Batman's more obsessive about what he's doing than what Kate is. The one thing that I will kind of bothers me just a little bit, and it's just kind of a thing that's been happening the last, I don't know, I want to say 5 years of Batman. Everybody knows who Batman is, and for her to have figured out early on when she went to dinner with Bruce, because he was had that, she comments the fact he had a little bit of lip, and she goes, oh, I knew right then you were Batman.
Yeah.
Like, damn, who doesn't know who Batman is? I mean, anymore. It just seems like, if everybody can figure out who Batman is, I mean, I don't know how long his identity is going to last, but.
Yeah, I was thinking the same exact thing when I was reading. I was like, this is a little too convenient for her to discover that her cousin happened to be Bruce Wayne, Batman. I said, this is a little too much. But I said, you know what? Okay, for the sake of this story, I'll accept that.
But, I liked it though. At the same time, I liked it because for her to immediately go, oh, I know why Batman does what he does now. Because clearly everybody knows Bruce Wayne's past, his parents being murdered and all that. so I liked it for the atmosphere of the story. It's just one of those kind of things that seems to be happening a lot in the last, like I said, 5 years of Batman comics. Everybody and their, second cousin knows who Batman is anymore. If you put on a mask, you know who Batman is. So, but this makes me excited for. I was excited anyway, but I'm excited for the Batwoman comic a lot.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm curious to see what Batwoman's role will be going forward in Detective Comics, because she sounds to me like she's going to have kind of her own thing going. But my understanding is she's still going to be in Detective.
Well, you know what? It makes you kind of wonder, are they going to just do a separate timeline entirely in Batwoman so that they can continue on having her be in Detective?
Yeah, or it'll be like a lot of the Batman titles, because there are Batmans in so many places. As a reader, if you read all of that stuff, you just kind of have to let it go. That how is he in Tokyo one day, and then in Rome another day, and then in Gotham another day, and how's he in space with the Justice League? How does that all happen at the same time?
Yeah.
You kind of have to just roll with it. One of those superhero things. So, yeah. But I really liked it though. I really liked it. I'm excited for what's next. So that's a good thing.
More content, because I feel like these and you're more so getting advertisements thrown throughout it.
Yeah.
Enough to kind of hold me over, seeing that it is kind of like a fortnightly situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Let's talk. Do you read Wonder Woman?
I did not read Wonder Woman.
Okay.
I did though.
I'm still really enjoying the title. This cover bothers me. Her looking all copacetic like that really bugs the hell out of me. I don't know why. I mean, she just looks like somebody brained her really hard. I mean, in this issue, she is in a in some sort of a psych ward, but she doesn't look copacetically happy. She looks lost. Not doesn't look like she's doped up. So there's some interesting story in it. I'm enjoying Wonder Woman, but I'm not like engrossed into Wonder Woman. I know there are some people who didn't like the New 52, the first 36 issues of that Wonder Woman. I really liked it. To me, that was engrossing every issue. I wanted to see what was going next. This has been fun. I've really been enjoying it, but I'm not like, completely blown away by it. But it's still been enjoyable. I'm curious to see what happens next. We're kind of transitioning from one storyline. This is called The Truth Part 1 into the next storyline. So I'm always curious to see what's happening next with it. But yeah, it hasn't been too bad.
It looks like it's maybe trying to wrap up, I suppose, with the two different storylines. Mm-hmm. But I think the most Wonder Woman I'm gonna get is this newest series. Is this Odyssey? Was it Odyssey of the Amazons?
All right. Okay.
Pre Wonder Woman, but I've dipped in and out of Wonder Woman. It was a little tad confusing, not knowing that he was switching back and forth.
But
yeah.
Right. And I can see if you haven't been really reading Wonder Woman for the last quite a few years, them bouncing around between this stuff, a lot of that's going to be confusing and relatively meaningless, as opposed to, oh, look, we're playing with a little piece that somebody wrote here, kind of, putting that in, kind of a thing. So, yeah, I wonder how long they're going to go with the kind of two dueling storylines, and when they're going to try and mesh them together a little bit more. I don't know. I'd be curious to see. I'm excited for the artist that's replacing Nicola Scott.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I really like her. You think the who's going to replace her?
Oh no! Now I've said that, I can't remember her name.
Resin?
Bliss, because she named something like Bliss or something like that. She did the single issue that was kind of like a backstory of Cheetah, of Minerva, and I'll remember it at some point. After we get off the air, I'll go, oh, it's this. But I don't really like her style. She's got a really great style. So I'm excited for that. To see what comes of that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been okay, but it's not as exciting as what I thought it was. Wonder Woman was the comic coming into Rebirth that I was like the most the most excited about. I'm like, oh my God, Greg Rucka back on Wonder Woman, Nicholas Scott on art. It's going to just be amazing. And it was fine. And it's been fine. I'm not hating it, but it's not the book that has me excited. So
Yeah, I like Greg Rucka's writing. I really do, especially on Lazarus, which I think is one of his best series. But it seems like certain things you may jump into that he has could be hit or miss. That usually are under the big two, like such as Beast.
sure. Well,
Watered down, maybe, I don't know.
yeah, well, that editorial's got something to do with it. So, he has to probably play within. I think they give him a little bit more of a leash with that book, but I'm sure editorial and the corporate comics still dictate what you do or don't do, as opposed to his independent stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What other DC books?
Let's see. Commandy.
The Commandy Challenge, yes.
You know what? I dug it. I totally dug it. I was here for it because you know what? I finished reading issue 6 that Sleeper 666 gifted me with, and I found it to be very, very reminiscent of the older Commandy. It really felt like it was. I mean, maybe the first half, like the first part of the story didn't feel so much. It felt dry, like it didn't belong there.
That's Dan Didio. That's Dan Didio through and through.
Yep.
Don't let that man write. He kills a comic so fast. Oh.
It just felt so mechanical. It didn't feel like it was. It didn't feel right. But that last half, like it felt so Planet of the Apes and felt so old school to me. I loved it. I was, oh my gosh. Even though the art in the first story was good and it reminded me more of Commandy, that second part, even though the art was different, I still loved it. And I was like, this story is just so good. It was so well written. And I was like, you know what? I could definitely see myself pulling every single issue of this challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I knew the first part as soon as I saw that Dan was on it. I knew it was going to be rough. I was happy that he didn't write the entire issue. Him having Geffen helping him with the story and doing the art. It has kind of Geffen will kind of mimic the Kirby-esqueness too well, because Geffen actually finished up some of the end of the Commandy issues when it first came out and stuff. So I mean, he's done the character before as far as that goes. So yeah, I don't know why that whole beginning part though is kind of a weird, like, let's retell the beginning of Commandy, right? Because you read those first issues where he kind of like stumbles out of the vault, that whole thing. This is like a bizarre retelling of it, so they could, like, I don't know, put Kirby in the comic, because of course Kirby's actually in here as a
that was a very nice surprise though. Although
sure,
I didn't really care for the retelling, and you know what? Honestly, I feel like they were told it. The second half, I would have liked to see Flower in the story. I would have liked to see her make an appearance. I don't know if they're gonna make her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Flower. I hope so. I hope we touch on all of that stuff.
Yeah. But that was nice. It was a nice surprise seeing him in the first half of the story. But yeah, it was so weird, the retelling and the robot grandmother and
but I mean, you're right. The second half of it for me was perfect. I mean, like I said, it's excused the first half of the book because it's Dan Didio. Was not excited about that a little bit, but Dan Abnett did a fine job writing it. It matches up to Commandy. You're right. It has that kind of Planet of the Apes, that whole vibe, that whole mid to late 60s kind of sci-fi-ness that was going around, which is one of the things I think makes Commandy a great comic anyway, is there and Eagleham does a great job on art with it. And so it's going to be fun. The whole handoff thing, the whole tag thing is going to be curious. So
I'm excited for the next issue though, because we have Tomasi writing, and then we have who is it was going to be?
It's Tomasi and and Adams.
Yep. I look forward to seeing what's going to go on there.
Yeah.
Just Tomasi mainly, but
right.
The art is pretty good. I hope so. I'm please be good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with the whole. Everybody's like, oh man, how good's the story going to be if it just keeps shifting and whatnot? Well, the old Commandy comic was really, you could read it in single issues. You know, I mean, you know, if you knew what happened the last issue, fine. If you didn't, it didn't matter. You could read the things kind of out of order to some degree. And so that's kind of how this will be. Each issue, I'm assuming, is kind of, to some degree, will be a one and done with just a little bit of a dangling something for the next creative team to take and then run with, kind of a thing. You know, you read the back matter in here. Dan talks about the fact that, oh, we had so many people wanting to write this comic that we just couldn't pick one. So we have all these people doing it. That's lame as far as I'm concerned. They should have let some of those people who wanted to do a run of Commandy do a run of Commandy, but you know, whatever.
It would have been nice to have, you know, them do like a volume 1 where, you know, like 6 issues are done by one, and then the next issues are done by somebody else. Like do a continuation. Like,
right. So you get a full arc.
Yeah, but you know, I guess they're doing it to make it kind of, I guess, sell in some ways, kind of intrigue people.
Well, I don't think they wanted to invest that much in it either, because I don't know what the sales are going to be like for this. I mean, I don't know how many new readers are going to pick this up, especially with every issue it change into something. It's going to look different than the last issue kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know what the sales tactic is behind.
Anthologies, though, like, I mean, you know, the anthology thing is kind of growing these days, you know?
Yeah.
Especially with the crowdfunding stuff that's kind of going on. People are really getting into the whole, you know, the whole idea of an anthology or a separated story, or working on the same story.
Yeah. Longbox Review Eric is in the comments, and he's saying that no one cares about Commandy. Come on. Which he's full of crap. He's doing that to bug me. So, of course, he doesn't think Kirby's important either. So, whatever.
You know, honestly, it did get me intrigued though to actually check out more older stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I said to myself, you know, honestly, if I was just a new reader just jumping right into this Commandy challenge, I would be slightly intrigued on more about this Commandy character.
Right.
So I could see some people really jumping into some older, maybe artist edition, to kind of get the full, you know, the full view and full understanding of what the Commandy world is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It feels like Planet of the Apes, so nothing could be really better than that. I mean, Planet of the Apes is so awesome.
Exactly. And then, like I said, I like this first story. It's already a disaster. Just get ready to happen, you know? I mean, so yeah, like I said, I was really pleasantly surprised. I mean, I knew I was getting it regardless how bad it was. It doesn't matter to me. It could have been awful. It's Commandy. I'm going to pick it up. I'm just kind of silly that way. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the second half of it really was like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to be happy with this. This will be fun. So
yeah.
Let's talk Doom Patrol.
Yes, I had it in my hand.
So issue 4 of Doom Patrol. Of course, you know, Gerard Way and Nick Darrington and Tamara Bolivan continue it, for me anyway, to write an awesome comic that I'm just tickled with. Every single bit of it just, you know, tickles all of my Doom Patrol and weird buttons enough that I'm just really, really happy with it. I mean, I love the little hops, the jumps to different. As I drop it on the floor, all the different stuff that goes on in it. You know, the Nice Calder habitual Snoop was hilarious. I love how they're adding him into it. This time he's actually kind of in a way interacting with the rest of the people now, you know, whereas the first issues he was kind of off doing his own thing. He's slowly slipping into their thing because now his robot, you know, the robot that looks like him, the leg is now you know, attached to somebody else. So that's it's fun. We actually, I was, you know, the Casey's partner that works as an EMT. I wasn't sure if we were going to see him anymore because he just kind of like wasn't in the comic much. And of course, the whole first part of this, he's in it. We get to meet his son, who's clearly a little different. You know, he's not the normal kid, maybe, or at least. Yeah, neither one of my kids spend a whole lot of time, you know, in their rooms, you know, trying to summon up I don't know what kind of thing. So that was really interesting. I love that panel of his room.
Yeah.
Because half of these, I don't know, they look like heavy metal posters, right? But they're actually they're comic books. They're comic book characters. If you read them closely, they're kind of like winks and nods at what actually is. You know, Darkseid's up there. Blue Devils up there, Challenges of the Unknown. But I mean, they're billed as rock bands, but the artists put them all in as these, rock bands. But they're actually, they're DC comic books. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, honestly, if you look at all the DC Young Animal books, you notice that they do a lot of that homages to either the editors and writers and artists and other DC books that are kind of interrelate to this series in totality. And I really like that about how tongue in cheek it is. It's
Yeah.
very clever, very clever.
Yeah.
And it makes you honestly analyze the panels a lot more just because of that, just because of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed this issue. Honestly, there's moments where obviously Doom Patrol does have disconnected and disjointed feelings because of the transition, but it's so wacky it works.
Right. Now, so I wonder, in this issue, we touch back to the very first issue. The very first issue ended with that kind of like a murder scene or something. That guy's head's caved in, the brick is sitting there, and there's the dead lion laying on the stairs, kind of thing. Well, we see kind of a long shot of that of what happened there, but still, with not a whole lot of explanation. So I'm curious to see if we're going to keep going back to that in some sense. I mean, because we find out more about what Danny was doing there, maybe kind of, but not really. We don't know. We get, like I said, with the bigger picture, the longer shot, we see more of the crime scene, if that's what we want to call it. But I'm curious to see if we keep touching back to that. I mean, that's a whole kind of interesting, kind of weird. And when I say weird, not kooky weird, like most of the rest of this comic has got weird stuff in it that's kind of on the kooky end. That's just kind of a serious, but kind of, what's going on there?
It was really, I was curious about that too, because in the woman that, that his companion that he was with, I want to know
Jane.
more now, because they brought her on for such a short moment that you're curious that, okay, where did she disappear off to? And I want to know exactly how he's able to transform into all these different shapes. Are they going to really go over that?
See, yeah. So have you read Grant Morrison's run of Doom Patrol?
Not enough of it. Not enough to
feel
confident in, but I had the omnibus. I had a huge omnibus. But that's a huge thing to get through.
Oh, but without doubt, right? Yeah. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. But I'm, I'll be the first to acknowledge that I'm a Doom Patrol whore. I mean, if it's Doom Patrol, I'm gonna like it. So that kind of, I don't know how my opinion may not be worth a whole lot as far as that goes, but I think it's a smart book. Otherwise, that you're right. The transitions are kind of radical sometimes. The shifts between things. I don't know. I always feel like they work though.
Yeah. Definitely you put it all together too. I have to say that this is one of those books that I feel like you could pick up in singles or you could pick it up in trade, and it's just gonna read wacky. Period. It's gonna be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Trade weight. I don't think it's something you necessarily have to trade weight on. I think it's definitely good in singles, and I put it in Mylar, so it's obviously top book for me.
There you go. I'm a cheap comic book collector. I put nothing in Mylar, so isn't that horrible? But yeah, like I said, I'm every bit excited by it. I don't have my variant cover here with me. I bought both covers because it's Doom Patrol.
That's the variant. I so bad. I wish the bundle would have the variant instead of having the plain.
Well, yeah, right. Because both me and Rez get our books through Discount Comic Book Service, so we get. You're picking up the young. Are you picking up the Young Animal bundle? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. And there isn't one. I mean, I noticed with the main DC books, you can buy. There's a variant bundle for that, where you can get all the books that are just the variant bundle, but there isn't one for the. Because if there was, I would get them all. Because quite honestly, most of the art on all the Young Animal covers are awesome. The
shade of variants. Those variants are really pretty.
Yeah, I'm real tempted to. It's those kind of things. I mark it down in my head if I ever make it to a comic book shop. Look in the dollar bins to see if those are dropped in price at all. Because I'll pick them up just for the art on the covers. Yeah, they're definitely cool. Definitely cool. What else? What else you got?
Ooh, speaking of, earlier we did Wonder Woman. So the girl before Wonder Woman, Odyssey of the Amazons, issue number 1. Apparently this is like a little small mini, 6 issues, and this first one, boy, it was a pretty lengthy read for something that is not very thick. I mean, just a very standard, DC Rebirth kind of size, but it was a lot of content, like a lot of stuff thrown at you, so much information that I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to actually talk about it today. But I really liked getting to know some of these characters in this Wonder Woman world.
Who's writing that?
Let's see. It says Graveau. Graveau is writing it.
Mm.
Well, I think Benjamin's also on it as well, and then we have Frank doing. I think Benjamin may be doing the inks, and then Frank's doing the coloring or something, or the. But yeah, it was a pretty good book. It just, like I said, has a lot of. I'm just gonna show. As you see, like just a lot of speech, just a lot of information. It has this like one little scroll like text or not really a bubble, but speech box that just blown throughout each panel that kind of gives you like I guess some kind of mythological feel throughout, just kind of giving you like, oh, these women are so tough and they fight to the death, and just really 300 feel. I really enjoyed the book because it kind of gives you the sense that these women are super tough. They're really badass, and that they're even tougher than the men they encounter. So I really like that. But then again, there's just so much going on and so much being thrown at me. I didn't really absorb the information like I wanted to. Even though I read it twice, I just thought, okay, what's going on exactly? What's the conflict? What's going on here?
Right.
And there's so much different names. The names are so odd too. They're all very Greek and very very Greek names, and so remembering all of them was kind of hard too. I try to remember the one of the main characters, Hesia, and who's like apparently the general of the women, and another one, I want to say something Thelka or something. She's like the second in command. Apparently, I guess in this story, there's some kind of conflict between some of the women. Like some of them feel like Hesia is sending them on a death mission. They want to all go home and just live the life, and they don't know why they're really out there fighting all the time, why they're warring with all these different people. You also have some of the young women who are immortal, along with the different Amazonians, and they want to be like their mentors. And so I guess something happens at the end where some women disappear, and so now they're on another long mission to go. And so I guess the whole idea is that all these Amazons in here they're just tired of fighting. They want to get back to what the real actual mission is, which they don't really know because the gods are not really informing them of it.
Okay, so this takes place like before they're kind of like stuck to their island, and that's the only place they can really go.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much stuck. It's stuck on this island. And there's some scenes where they're fighting wars with sister, tribes and stuff like that, and other brothering tribes, but it doesn't really seem like it takes place anywhere else.
Oh, okay.
There is a character who longs to kind of get out of that world and go to the world where they kind of hide themselves from, which is, I suppose, Earth.
Okay.
But stuff packed in here, like where you really.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
It'd be easy.
I wonder if they're writing that to cash in on the upcoming, not tied in with the movie, but the fact they're going to have Wonder Woman, Amazons, and that's why they're. When I saw that come out, I was kind of like, I wonder why they're doing a pre-Wonder Woman Amazon story. I mean, it just kind of seemed like an odd pick for them to do and it's how many issues? 6? Yeah.
I liked it. I really did. Because it felt like I got a lot, information for my money, I suppose. But then again, there was so much information thrown in that it's kind of a lot to absorb, and so
right
from there you're like, okay, if each issue is going to be like this, it's going to just be a very long read,
Right, where it feels more like an info dump than it does telling you a story. Yeah. I read the final issue of Six Pack and Dog Wilder, the hard traveling heroes. I love this cover because, of course, to me the cover is like it's like a wink and a nod to Blade Runner, because Constantine there has folded a piece of tinfoil into the shape of Dog Wilder, You know, and whatnot. And it actually shows up in the comic, which is kind of fun too. This is a great, this ended up being a really great miniseries. I mean, it's hilarious, it's gross, it's disgusting, and funny as hell. And the ending of this has actually a really good ending to it. You know, Dog Welder, which is of course this absurd character that literally takes dead dogs and welds them to the side of people's faces, and he's supposed to be a superhero. At any rate, he finds his place. He finds out what the dog welders throughout the centuries were supposed to be about, and they go and they do this great mission, and dog welder doesn't come back from it, and so at the end of it, it looks like the Justice League has kind of gotten together for their, like, I don't know, monthly barbecue or something like that, and like maybe they're going to take credit for having saved the world, even though they didn't. And Six Pack, of course, who is this guy who's drunk all the time, is confronting them about that. And I don't know, it ended sadly, but really well. I really enjoyed it. I am completely sold on this. If they ever put out yet another one of these, I'll be picking it up because this one was just so much fun and so ridiculous. But really enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah. And the last Steve Dillon cover there before he passed away. So
I read the first issue of it and I wasn't drawn too much into it. There was a few characters I thought were cool, like that one girl who talked really weird. I don't know, she's a superhero. In the very first issue, she had red hair or something like that. Red.
Oh right, who was that?
Starfire or something like that, maybe.
Yes, it was Starfire, because it was they were all sitting around talking to Guts, trying to convince Guts that she needed to basically slap well, I can't remember his name now, the pervert that she's married to, who's always sleeping around, that needs to Bueno or whatever his name is, need to slap him around because he's cheating on her and stuff, which is hilarious to I mean, you know, Guts literally is just a big giant pile of guts, so that whole conversation to me is always funny just because it's because it's just ridiculous. Well, in this issue, John Constantine gets busy with Guts. They do the deed in space. So yeah, picture that if you will. And the husband comes in on him. And you could take that euphemism however you want to, because it probably happened. So yeah. Like I said, it's an incredibly juvenile comic. You know, it's a 13-year-old boy humor, which normally I don't find funny, but for some reason, because it has to do with the comic book characters and whatnot, there's something about it that's funny. So yeah, it's pretty funny. So yeah. You have one more?
Yes, I have one more. Future Quest.
Nice. How's that working out?
You know what? Honestly, I was trying to hold it to a high esteem. Because I had very high expectations for this, thinking it was going to be very similar to Flintstones and to Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. But I think I jumped in too far into this because I was so confused. There were moments where I thought I was going to have some clarity, and just a lot of action in this. I think the most highlighted part in here for me was that we see Space Ghost in here, but I don't know exactly why he's in there. So they didn't do any kind of backtracking or updating or letting you kind of giving you a heads up on why we see Space Ghost in here. But I kind of look forward to seeing the annual that's gonna come out very soon with him. And maybe it's gonna explain more as to what's been going on in this particular title, because I was just so confused. But I know that Quest apparently was gifted with some kind of device that Space Ghost usually wears, this arm bracelet, to kind of defeat some of these monsters. But that's the most that I got that was going on in this. And also, there's this one doctor, her kids were inside this one robot that she's built, and they were going to help fight, help save the mom and trying to defeat these same monsters. So there's a lot of fighting these monsters. I just don't know what else and why per se.
Right.
Illustrations are good, but definitely not jump in friendly.
Yeah, that's Doc Shaver doing the art, right?
It says Randall.
Oh.
Randall.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay, so it must be an issue that he wasn't doing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I felt like maybe I should have went back and started getting my after
Hmm.
reading. It just wasn't really, like I said, jumping friendly.
Yeah, I'm not big on nostalgia. I mean, I love those old cartoons and whatnot, and that's my preference to go watch those. So seeing it in a comic book wasn't necessarily my thing. And then I kind of wondered how it was going to work when they start mixing them all together. My preference would have been, and they would have done a Johnny Quest comic book. They would have done a Space Ghost comic book. They would have done a Herculoids comic book.
Yeah, I would
It's like
prefer
a,
Space Ghost, to be honest.
you know,
Yeah, they went.
only if Brack and Zorak are in it though.
Yeah, yeah. Right, normal. I love
Yes. Yep.
it. I tell you, yeah, this was like a fail for me. But I love Scooby Doo Apocalypse. I love Flintstones, for sure.
Right.
So
Right.
those are, like I said, you can go into and pick up any one of the Flintstones, and you don't need to go backtrack because they seem like their own contained story. And Scooby Doo actually, each issue seems like they kind of go back and reference to kind of let you know, hey, this kind of happened last issue. Like I don't think it necessarily gives you that the information in the first page or anything, but it kind of tells you throughout the panels you're reading.
Right. But it's not so soap operatic that if you miss an issue, you're in trouble as far as
Exactly,
getting
because
in
I
on. Yeah.
Scooby Doo pretty late too. I didn't start with issue 1. I think I started right at maybe issue 4 or 5 or something.
See, I need to be picking up Scooby Doo because Shaggy's sporting that awesome beard and mustache. So
Yeah, you should see Scrappy. Like Scrappy,
yeah.
like a new person, and he's like evil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very. He hates Scooby. Like he's like, I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Howard Porter does the art on that book. I like Howard Porter as an artist. So
yeah.
that's Scooby Doo. Yeah. And I hear nothing but awesome stuff about the Flintstones. I actually ordered the first trade of the Flintstones, and I'm jumping on single issues. So
For treat, you really are. Like,
yeah.
this issue was, oh my god, it was so good. I mean, I can't. I said that every issue. Like every
Right.
issue, I can't. Every issue has been so damn good. I
Yeah.
just can't believe it. And it's just, I love the plays on the social commentary. I just can't get enough. Like I love that they play on religious things, and political things, and
Right.
so well.
Yeah.
They do so-
Awesome. Like I said, I'm excited to get it because it sounds pretty awesome. The other DC book that I picked up this week was a one shot. It is Killer Frost, Justice League of America, Killer Frost. I'm going to pick up the Justice League of America. I always at least try all the Justice League-ish type books, whatever they are. I'm not reading Justice League currently because of the whole crossover with Suicide Squad that I wanted nothing to do with. And I don't think I'm going to pick up Justice League afterwards. Just because by the time we were getting up to where that crossover started happening, I wasn't really enjoying it that much anyway. So I figure I'll try this one out. It looks like a really bizarre grouping of people. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work. So I've been picking up these one shots. This one is Killer Frost. This cover is somewhat misleading. They have her on this cover. She looks kind of smirky and evilish and diabolical with her sharp eyebrows and whatnot. And she's really not portrayed that way in the book at all. I have no idea what's going on in that crossover between Suicide Squad and Justice League. This kind of the whole Justice League of America spins out of that, I believe. Somehow she has helped the superheroes out, proved herself to be kind of a hero. So she's getting a stay of execution and she's getting out. This issue takes place still in Belle Reve. She's supposed to get out that day, but Waller has done something to accidentally lose some of her paperwork, so she can't get out when she wants to. And Waller's basically just, for an extra day, is jerking her chain to see if she can get her to snap and prove that she's really a villain, so Waller can keep her on the Suicide Squad and keep her at Belle Reve instead of letting her get out to be a superhero. And so it's basically that kind of a thing with her getting challenged through it. And so it's mostly a story about showing her personality is what it really comes down to. It's just basically showing who she is as a character and that sort of stuff. And I really actually I really like her in this. She's an interesting character. She's trying, because basically she's kind of like a heat vampire. She sucks heat off of people, and she sucks heat off of people, and then that's where she gets her cold powers from. So she's kind of put in a lot of situations. She actually gets forced to room with Firestarter. Is that her name? a pyromancer, basically. So she gets stuck with somebody who's on fire pretty much all the time. So she's pretty stressed there. And she kind of has to deal with that. She does get out, you know, and at the end of it, she's like, okay, you know, Batman's like, you're gonna be okay. You're fighting the hunger. It seems like working. She goes, oh yeah, I'm fine. And it kind of goes back to the comic and shows these brief moments where she actually did steal heat from everybody she touched, bumped into, or came in contact with. So she's figured out how to siphon little bits and pieces off without totally draining somebody dead, basically. So
Yeah.
you know, she's trying to be the hero, but is she really the hero? We won't know until we're going forward. So it'll be it'll be interesting to see how that, you know, how that all pans out. But it was a fine and kind of enjoyable one shot to kind of get an idea of what her personality is like. So, which I really think is what it was mostly about. But.
Yeah, I'm not following Justice League too much, but that looks pretty interesting. Suicide Squad didn't really, like you said, too event heavy.
Yeah, well,
but
and I was hating Suicide Squad, quite honestly, going up to that. I mean, I'd already dropped Suicide Squad, so I couldn't imagine jumping back into it, you know, into it for that and stuff. So, yeah. I think as a whole, I'm going to try and avoid most of the crossovers that are happening. I think I am going to be a sucker and get those stupid button issues that are coming up of Batman and the Flash, where it's going to tell that story of the stupid happy face button that was left in the Batcave in the Rebirth issue. But we'll see. We'll see what that ends up being like. So. I don't know. Got any other DC books you want to talk about? No. Okay. I don't know of any DC news. I mean, other than I guess what I haven't talked about anywhere since the last Comic Book Roundtable, because this wasn't news yet. All the monthly books, all of DC's monthly books, the once a month books, are going from $2.99 to $3.99, and for that extra $1 we're paying, we're getting a digital code. To the best of my knowledge, I can't find anywhere else where it says we're getting more pages of content. We're just getting a digital copy of it, and we're going to pay $1 more. Any
like ripoff?
Okay, I was going to say, any opinion on that? That's where I am too. I'm like, I don't read digital comics. I don't read them at all. I'm a snotty Luddite, and I don't give a damn about digital comics. Awesome for all you people who read digital comics. You rock them. I mean, that's cool. I get all the bonuses to them. None of them work for me. I just don't care for it. I want my physical copies. So I'm now going to pay an extra $1 for something I will never use. And I'm assuming the code. I'm assuming the code's going to be like the Marvel code, where it's hidden behind a sticker. So I'm going to have to tear part of my comic book apart to share that code with anybody, even if I wanted to share the code, which I'm not going to do either, because when I was getting some of the Marvel comics, that digital code, I wasn't tearing the sticker off. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel very similar to the way you feel. I'm not gonna ever use it. And I feel like, if you're gonna give me a digital code, give me a digital code to something I'm not reading.
Right. Entice me to read something else.
Yeah. Why are you gonna give me a digital code to something I'm already gonna read physically? That doesn't sound right to me. But I suppose there's some logic somewhere buried or burrowed very deeply within that.
Yeah, I know part of it is Marvel just dropped all of theirs. They just quit doing that. So I don't know if that's one of the reasons why DC thought, well, we'll do it because somebody's gonna think it's a bonus. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna lose some monthly comics because there are comics that I read that are just monthly. And they're not the greatest comics, but I kind of like the character enough. They're okay enough. And because I'm only paying, it's only a $2.99 book, and I'm only buying it once a month, no big deal. Now it's $1 more.
I'm curious how it's going to work out for you though now, because you get the bundle pretty much.
No, I quit. I quit getting the bundles.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I figure all the you were still getting a bundle. And I was like, man, how's it going to work for him? Because he's.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. And but no, I finally quit doing the bundles. I dropped enough of the books that it was cheaper to not get the bundle at that point. But yeah, it's Oh, I'm just kind of reading over the comments, and Longbox Review is saying that he had to buy a new issue of the Mighty Thor because the page tore when I tried to remove the sticker, which that would be extra disastrous to tear a page trying to go a sticker off. But that's a Marvel comic, and their paper is horrible anyway. So at least in my opinion, it's horrible. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not excited about it. I'm irritated. There's comics I'm probably going to drop because of because of that. Oh, I didn't bring it, but I just read a comic that I probably will drop. I didn't bring it down to talk about a DC comic. I read Hellblazer, and it's kind of okay. I like the character John Constantine, but the this new version of it hasn't really been blowing me away. But it's one of those books that's been kind of cheap, so I kind of keep getting it. It going up to an extra $1 probably means I won't keep getting it. So,
are you gonna still keep on with Batman? Because I keep teetering back and forth with Batman. Like I feel like I'm already getting the Batman I want in Detective. Why continue on with? I like Tom King and his writing. I don't really care for the writing on Batman.
Yeah. I was almost at the point of being fully prepared to drop it. I liked the last 2 issues though.
I liked them too, but
I don't like them calling each other cat and bat, but I know. So now I'm going, okay, I'm going to wait. I'm going to see what the whole I Am Bane story is going to be to bookend. I'm assuming this bookends the first part of it, which I did not like at all. So yeah, I'm going to keep it's Batman too. And I'm dumb. I'll keep buying it.
Well, you know what? I might jump back in. I just feel like these days I just want to focus more back on the indie stuff, and I'm like I'm dipping up really into this world, but I feel like I get enough DC with the Young Animal and with the Hanna-Barbera.
Sure. I love superheroes. I just like them as a genre, and outside of Marvel and DC, no one can seem to maintain a superhero comic, an independent superhero comic. So, I love some of these characters too. I mean, I get them for the characters to some degree, complain about them, drop them, pick them back up, drop them, pick them back up, whatever. But I love superheroes enough that I don't see myself ever completely walking away from. But it's going to get less. It's going to get less because there's more and more independent stuff coming out, stories that I want to read, and I can only read so many books. Quite honestly, I've only got time to read so many books, so I have to start making some decisions based on time, if nothing else. If not for money, I based on time. So yeah, I'm gonna shrink some more. It's gonna have to. Or at least I keep telling myself that. I haven't done it yet, but I've got to have to do it at some point. Get less of them. But I really wish some independent people would put out some superhero comics. Secret Identity came out from Image Comics. I really loved that comic. It was a great comic. Those of us who liked it couldn't convince enough other people to buy it for them to keep doing it. They couldn't pay for their they couldn't pay the artist to keep doing the book, so it ends. So I wish we could get some independent superhero comics like Black Hammer. So I'll never give up the superhero comics completely. So, but
I mean, I like the. I'm more so. I love the indie takes on superheroes. Like I like the different ways they kind of play on superheroes. So usually I'm more gravitating towards those types and those renditions of a superhero or or I guess villains person. But then I guess if you want some clean, wholesome fun, then I guess you can run over to Marvel and DC.
Yep. Or I mean, some of these books, especially the big ones like Batman and stuff like that, if we decide to quit reading it, at least in singles, and want to pick it up and trade, that book's not going anywhere. It's not going to collapse. They're not going to cancel it, kind of a thing. So, some of these, big titles, it's another way to read them too. When you want that fix of superheroes, you go at it, and but Astro City. Yeah, I see you guys are talking about Astro City in the comments. It is a superhero book,
Yeah.
but it's not the same though. I mean, it's a good book. I enjoy it, but and I really enjoyed it here recently, but I don't know, it's almost not superhero enough for me. There's something about the just the 4-color.
It's back for quite a few issues though, which kind of makes you wonder what's going on there too. You know,
I'm thinking it's somebody's health. Somebody's having health issues, and that's why it's the slowing down, I think. But
yeah.
Alrighty, I'm going to quickly talk about 2 Marvel books. I know that Rez didn't pick up any Marvel, but I have 2 I want to briefly talk about a little bit. Spider-Woman issue number 15, a book that I think is woefully underrated, kind of a book. I think most people are missing out on it. It's hilarious. It's thought-provoking. It jerks at your heartstrings. It's Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, is a fabulous single mother. She's awesome. The cast of characters around her are great. This is an issue that kind of another one of those issues that jerks at our heartstrings, you know, kind of a deal. And I'm really enjoying it. I wonder if it's going to be done soon. I think that in the latest round of comics that I ordered, it wasn't in solicitation. So I'm hoping it's just a break, because I really love the book. I think it's really smart, really fun. Anybody who isn't picking it up in singles, highly recommend the trades. But I just think it's really a lot of fun. As Jessica here is trying to track down the people who killed her best friend, her nanny, Roger Porcupine. She finds out that he was killed by the Hobgoblin, so she's going after the Hobgoblin. She also finds out the Hobgoblin is basically franchising supervillains and supervillain names. He's basically recycling. If the supervillain is either incarcerated or dead, he takes their old name, their old gear, whatnot, upgrades it, and rents it to somebody else, and you pay. And we find out that Roger he's a franchise. Porcupine is a franchised supervillain, and he's kind of was having to pay back because he quit paying rent because he's become a superhero, kind of a thing. So some interesting stuff and just a lot of fun. Like a lot. The art changed here recently to Fish. First issue of Fish on it was a little shaky, but it's gotten good since then too. So, and a new book that has come out, The Hulk. Simply the Hulk. This is issue number 2. It has to do with Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk. Love that cover, as she's clearly starting to Hulk out there. And this book largely deals with post-traumatic stress syndrome. She does not Hulk out at all. She does everything she can not to Hulk out. She basically is a lawyer. She's going and doing her job. People know she's She-Hulk. And they know that she's related to Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner was killed during the Civil War, this latest Civil War. He was killed during that. She is suffering from her own wounds from being put into a coma, and the fact that her cousin Bruce Banner was killed. And so she's in all kinds of trauma, and she's trying to live a normal life. And so most of this comic is her trying to go through a normal day of being a lawyer. And she's kind of in her head talking about trying to be normal, trying to live a normal life, and this trauma kind of being around her, kind of stuff, and not hulking out, and all this. Some of her coping mechanisms in this are really interesting. She watches cooking shows on like YouTube and whatnot to calm her down. She hates to cook, but she's watching this stuff to try and calm her down as these things happen. And this issue in particular, she's at a playground. There's kids that are playing. Everything seems great and tranquil. She's been having this great day. She has been making through everything just fine. And the kids start playing that they're being attacked by something. And they built this snowman in the middle of the playground, and the snowman is the Hulk. And they're running from him because the Hulk's going to kill them. Oh no. And then one of the kids plays Hawkeye, who killed Bruce Banner, in real life. The kid saves the day by being Hawkeye, and she about completely loses it right there in the playground. But it's really interesting take on the character, and it's just kind of interesting to see the whole post-traumatic stress syndrome thing played out in the book. So
I agree. I love first issue to arrive, but really, really good series.
And of course, there's more of that. She's got a client who is like a homebound person who doesn't leave her home. She's kind of a hoarderish looking type person. She has some evil thing, what seems to be evil, dark creature hiding in the shadows of her house. And it's going to protect her. In this issue, Jennifer goes to the landlord and basically gives the landlord court papers say that he has to cease and desist from trying to kick her out because she's paid her rent and blah, 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 and stuff. And the guy's all mad at her and goes to the tenant's house and beats on her door. Jennifer can't come to the phone when she calls the law office because Jennifer's too busy freaking out to talk to anybody. So she feels like her promises have been broke. So she kind of sicks whatever this thing is that's in the dark after them. And that's where kind of the book ends, with that kind of thing happening. But like I said, it's really like it. It's an interesting take on the character, because most of the takes on the character, Jennifer Walters is this very strong, very uplifting, very powerful character most of the time in the comics. And in this, it's not that she's weak, but she's clearly broken and it's kind of a wrecked personality that's trying to get through this trauma that's happened to her. And it's kind of an interesting story to tell around a superhero. So enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I don't have any Marvel news whatsoever. I haven't heard a peep coming out of Marvel stuff and whatnot. So
yeah, same here.
Admittedly, that's because most of the news feed type stuff that I follow, like on Twitter or whatnot, has been so filled with the drama that's going on in America right now that there hasn't been much comic talk, to be quite honest. So let's move on to the independent books. Let's move on to the independent books, which is what we're really here for, right, Russ?
Yes.
Okay, so what do we want to talk first?
I have at the top of my list Frostbite.
Okay, right. Vertigo book. This is issue 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this
5?
Is this 6 issues or 8? Is this 6 or 8 issues?
I thought it was 6.
See, that's what I was thinking too.
So it was 6, but
okay.
I would love to have 8 though.
Yeah, same here. Love the art. The art by Alexander is great. This whole snowstormy thing and whatnot is brilliant. What do you think?
I loved it. I loved it. I love the story. Last issue was just okay, but it picked up right in here in this issue. Like, it was just so good. And was it is his daughter Victoria? Is that her name?
Yeah, I think so.
Vic. Yes, Vic. I actually like her character now, because before I felt like she was so weak, and now I feel like she's stronger of a person after she did a particular thing in this issue, which
right.
She stood up to these nefarious characters and these scheming characters. And then I love how we found out that what's this woman's name, the main character. I love seeing her come back and kind of be there for Vic. I just really like that. I didn't know what happened to her, but I also like seeing them kind of forgive each other in a way, and just move on past it,
Right.
And
buried the hatchet, if nothing else, for the greater good. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? They're burying the hatchet for the greater good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. I love the first page, that snarling polar bear. Immediately you're like going, okay, what the hell's going on? It's like, wow. So yeah, I mean, I of course I love her punching the polar bear. Come on. Any comic that's got somebody punching a shark or punching a bear is freaking awesome, right? Oh.
Yeah. I like when she punched, what's her name? I still don't know why I don't know her name yet. Every time I read it, I'm like, I know her name and then I forget it.
Right. It's something simple. Keaton, right?
Yeah. Simple, like Jen or something. I don't know.
It's Keaton.
Something like that. Keaton. Okay. Yeah. You know what? And the thing is, I really like Keaton a lot. Like, I don't know why. Honestly, you know what I think could play her? Gina Torres.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Sure.
I would like to see her play her if they made this into like a TV adaptation.
Well, it
feels like that they would.
this is a comic that's very cinematic, and I don't mind that. Lots of times I gotta go, because comics has better stuff in it for me than like lots of movies do. And so when a comic feels a little too cinematic, I feel like I'm reading something that somebody kind of hoped was going to be a movie, but they turned it a comic book because they couldn't find a movie deal or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case of this, but this definitely has that kind of a cinematic, the whole chase across the snow, Mad Max moments throughout the series that we kind of had that we had in there and stuff. And it has some of those kinds of beats that happen and those kind of stuff, and whatnot. I love the end of this, the kind of the bad guy, and I don't know if he's the ultimate bad guy, but he's kind of become the ultimate bad guy at this point. They wreck his ship, they wreck everything about him, and he suddenly shows up, and what he's wearing to help keep himself warm. He's been. I mean, I'm just like, oh wow, that's brutal that he took his pet and he's now wearing his pet, and and the whole. This issue ends on a great cliffhanger. I think sometimes comic books nowadays kind of forget to end on a cliffhanger, because that's one of the cool things about a comic book is we get that kind of that moment at the end where we're like going, oh shit, what's going to happen? Where's the next issue? Because I want to know what's going to happen, as they're basically racing against time at this point. Everything's collapsing on them and stuff. But yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I'm sad that it's going to end in 6 issues, but I kind of feel like they may be even setting it up to have a second volume, maybe.
Yeah, I mean depending on how this one ends, they certainly could. I would think you could possibly do that. I mean, I'd be willing to read it for sure. I mean, but if they cure stuff at the end of this, I mean, what's? I guess they still have the Ice Age, even if they cure frostbite, right? So.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being hopeful and seeing. I want to see more.
Right.
I want to see more of this.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's like, why does it have to be only 6 issues? Why can't it be more? But yeah, I'm really enjoying Williamson's writing. Alexander's illustrations are top notch. I just love the way everything colory kind of. It's like a fusion of like David Mack with other things in here too, like other different illustration styles. I just love it.
Yeah, I would.
Maybe a little bit Sienkiewicz in there.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how much of it is the colorist, which is NCT. How much of it is how much heavy lifting is the colorist doing it to make it look the way that it does? I mean, I've seen some of Alexander's other work, up close. I've seen the actual physical pages of some of his art, and he does a lot of inking and a lot of like layers of splattering ink to make that kind of that gritty background that a lot of this stuff looks like. I mean, I'm sure a lot of this is him heavily flicking white out on top of his inks to make some of that, but I know some of it has to also be the colorist, and it'd be interesting to see some of these pages to see what's the how much of this is him and how much of it is the colorist that makes that blowing snow look. So yeah.
Now you have intrigued. I'm hoping they do an artist edition or artist issue or something, maybe like for a variant, like for I guess an incentive issue or something. Issue or something.
Right, the director's cut. Isn't that what DC's doing with a lot of their books? They call them director's cuts and put out a black and white version of the book.
They got me. They told me on a few of them. All-Star Batman, I got that director's cut, which I don't know why I did that, because I'm not really a big fan of Romita Jr.
Yeah, I noticed that this last time we were ordering comics for this month, you can order a director's cut of Doom Patrol, and I chose not to so far. I may still pick it up.
Yeah, I ordered it.
Did you? Okay.
It never. What happened was they pushed it back. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna reorder it. I'm just gonna go ahead and just. Oh, well. Yeah. Although I'm really tempted to kind of reorder it.
Yeah. Alrighty. What else do you want to talk about?
Let's see. Loose ends.
Yeah. I love this cover.
Oh yeah, I feel like it looks like me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just love seeing this wonderful, voluptuous woman on this cover. Mm-hmm. It just and I love all the little the stars and all the other different things around her, mm-hmm. Like little I don't know what you would really call that.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
you
so
said the name quite often.
a nimbus, the glowing around the glowing around the head kind of a thing. Of course, that's a bullet hole. You know,
Yeah.
there's also the little lines from the video game they're playing. You know, like some old Pac-Man or Ghosty kind of thing off. It's like so because I'm assuming that's what that after reading it now, I'm assuming that this is like not like a windshield, but it's actually probably the screen to in an arcade game, right there in the bar when they had that shootout in the bar would be my guess. I
Yeah.
love the colors too. I mean, I love the fact that she's kind of kind of this purple of color of sort and whatnot. I just
Yeah.
This would sell, the cover alone would sell me. Just visually, that cover says, pick me up, Travis. So,
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It just looks so beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
the coloring in this book, period, by Renzi is just phenomenal. Like, I mean, I don't know if you did this, but I studied every panel, like, and I just loved seeing how the pop-up, like, I mean, I just want to show one example of my favorite, because I said it in one of my videos, but right here, where we go back in a flashback, right? And you have the nice kind of toned down, very scaled out kind of coloring. And then you literally just jump to this beautiful, bright, vibrant coloring to the very next page.
Well, and it has that great glow of if you've ever been in this kind of a bar that's a little darker than what it's probably safe to be, and so it's got that kind of neon. It's got the neon colors of the drab neon colors of that that kind of a place from all the bar signs and all that kind of stuff in it, and the fact that they clearly the lamp that's over the pool table gives it a kind of a green to it. It has its own visual and whatnot. Yeah, it's really rich looking. It's really, really rich looking, for sure.
Very. Like, I mean, honestly, I would like to see them do Southern Bastards that rich and vibrant. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, it's just honestly, one of the descriptions they used to describe this was a slow cooked Southern crime romance, and it felt that way when I read it. Like, I actually read this before I got this. Like, I read it. They had a free comic book day version in 2011 of July, and I ran into it months ago, and I was like, you know what? I need to track down all these issues, and found out that we had released 3 of the issues out of the 4, and yeah, about a month later, after reading that free comic book day version, which included most of the story that was in this first issue, I learned that they were going to be re-releasing it through Image, and I was so freaking pumped. And so, actually being able to finish up some of this story that wasn't in that free comic book day really really made me happy, because I just got to know more on what was going on, like with that one waitress that we saw, what happened with her, and why exactly she is paired up with the other character that what's his name, Sonny or something like that. But it was very good. I just love this whole take where we're seeing all these artists or writers come out, and they're like Southern, they're Southern raised, and they're just bringing the Southern writing for the industry.
I have to tell you, all these Southern stories and whatnot, coupled with Truman Capote, it doesn't inspire me to go to the South, Raz. I'm just telling you, it doesn't make me want to like okay, yeah, I don't need to. It reinforces some stereotypes that just frighten me to no end. So
yeah, definitely did, didn't it?
Yeah, I really love this. I love the fact that to me it was cool storytelling, and that we're not yeah, let's see if I can do it now. Spoon fed. There you go. The story, we're not just given a bunch of information. We just have this situation, and we're just allowed to read and mostly, quite honestly, visually take in what the pictures are telling us. Is really, I mean, it's a comic book, and in any successful comic book, the pictures should be really telling you the story. In this, it's definitely what visually drives the story, and allows us to just kind of go, I don't know who this person is. Oh, this person's somehow related to this person. Oh, well, okay, this is complicating this thing here. And then crazy stuff starts to happen. The crime part of it starts to really get crazy in the book, and then all sorts of trauma happens, and some oh shit moments that we're gonna have to wait to see exactly how that plays out and what's next and all of that. But I really, really liked it. I really, really liked the fact that, like I said, so much of it. I mean, there is, I don't know, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 pages in the middle of this before there's a word spoken.
Yeah.
But that's
it's a lot of
but that's storytelling through there. All this visual stuff. There are so many visual clues about what's happening, what's going on, what it all means, and just perfect stuff. I mean, I really, really, I loved everything about the book. I really did. And I'm reading the back matter of this, and I'm going, damn, where the hell was I in 2006 or 11 or whatever it was that they tried putting it out originally? Because I would have been all over it then if I'd seen it, or if I'd seen it cover or anything.
But what's crazy though? I mean, I don't know if you get the same feeling, but I think you read Southern Bastards as well. And did you not get the same? Like, this is Jason Latour writing this, opposed to on Southern Bastards is Jason Latour doing the illustrations.
Right.
Did you not get the same feeling that you get when you read Southern Bastards with Jason Aaron, his writing? Do you feel like this was like similar in the same writing style in a way, as far as it just feels like it's down south, like you feel like you're implanted in this one particular region?
Yeah.
And that very realistic. Like, I mean, it was so much parts of this.
I think it goes to show that Jason Latour is way more of a storyteller than what some people may have thought that he was. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, Southern Bastards, I now feel like is largely Jason Latour, with ideas and maybe actual words from Jason Aaron, but the feel of that book is 100% driven by him.
Exactly. And that's what I was thinking, because when I said, how much is Jason Latour actually, I mean, how much is he contributing to Southern Bastards? Is he doing more than we actually know? Because I mean, if you read this, you get the same exact feeling that you get with Southern Bastards. I feel bad for Dare Say It, that so similar. And this is actually his really early work. So it kind of really makes you wonder, is Southern Bastards really his,
Yeah, I mean, I think in some ways it's equally theirs, but I think it really brings home that the artist can really be the storyteller. In this day and age where we still, I think, largely we talk writers and people forget illustrators. And of course, we didn't even mention this guy's name that illustrated this, Chris Bruner. Who does a masterful job. I mean, I love it through this. But like I said, with the way this feels and the way Southern Bastard feels, clearly the visual ideas are Latour's. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it brings home that the illustrator, the artists, the colorers really are doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah. I would love to see more. I would see this guy. I would like to see Chris Bruner on more things. Like, this illustration style was so beautiful. And I mean, the coloring complements every single bit of it. I just love this book. I just loved it to no end. I just can't talk. I have 3 copies.
Yeah.
Variant.
I'm really curious if this book is almost pretty much all in the can already. Did they go back and touch stuff up? I mean, clearly they have a new cover, because this is the current cover. This is the original cover.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, this cover is way more visually stimulating than this one is. I don't think this one's bad, but how soon might we see something because I'm assuming he's already done the work, unless they're going back and redoing something. This work's already been done.
He said they said in the interview that they're calling this volume 2, even though it's actually the old series they released originally through 12 Gauge Comics. And so with this, they really didn't go back and they didn't redo anything. He said because it's still kind of what he had in the original story. And actually, I told you the Free Comic Book Day one that came out in 2011.
Right.
Nothing seemed to be changed from what I read. So I don't think they changed much of anything in here. And then he did say that they try not to change anything because things were still relevant to when they first made this.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known
published.
I wouldn't have known that this was originally written in 2006.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Exactly. It just felt like it felt like it was written today, didn't it?
yeah. Oh yeah. So so yeah. So well, I hope we see something. I hope we see something soon.
Me too. Definitely a book I highly recommend for sure.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think of that final page use of? I'm going to bring it up again. I don't know if you've read the other comic that uses some of this, but that this kind of fade to black at the end of.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
I was a little turned off by that part. I was like, okay, because it was several pages of it, like 3 or 4 of them.
Well, not this one. This one is just one. There's another comic this week. Yeah, there's another comic this week. You want to talk?
Okay. Yeah, you do that one.
Okay, so Saga, issue 42. I'm always leery about how much I talk about this because I know there's so many people who read it in trade versus read it in singles. I like the comic. This is the end of an arc. So Saga is a little bit formulaic in that typically most issues has the first page is some sort of shocker of every issue, and at the end of every arc we get some wicked gut punch that just makes you feel miserable until the next arc comes out. It seems to be. This is no different.
Yeah.
Horrible stuff happens in this issue on a personal level, well, to a bunch of people on a personal level, and on kind of a cosmic level. To some degree, some horrible stuff happens in this. There's some, God's gonna save us, and that doesn't seem to work out so well unless we get a surprise when the new arc starts by this thing. But what we were kind of hinting at with that last comic that had a black page on it, this one ends with Saga typically has 3 or 4 pages of letter pages in the back of it. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'm glad you knew what I was talking about too.
And 7 pages of black. One page, the 8th page, the first page is black, has a little bit of dialogue, like 4 words at the very bottom down here, and then it's 7 pages of black comics. So not to really get into like I said, a ton of the story, I still like it a lot. There was lots of, oh my gosh, now what, kind of thing in it for me. Yeah. But so that many pages of a fade to black. And that's what we'll call it, right? I mean, because that's kind of what it was. Something really traumatic happens in it, and it just kind of fades out for that many pages. Is that too many pages?
Yeah, that was for sure. Because I don't know why I thought it was Loose Ends that did it, but yeah, it was for sure this. And I guess for me, it packed more punch too. After that finale, after that arc, the finale of the arc. I was like, oh my God. And then and then I'm turning the page like, please let it be something happy. And there's not. And you're like,
I actually liked the drag. I mean, I was okay with there not be, I mean, because it didn't actually sacrifice comics, right? Because the pages that got blotted out would typically be the letters pages, which I do read those, but I'm not invested in the letters page.
Yeah.
So them sacrificing a letter page for a month to give me that, because it did. You read that, you're like going, oh my. And like you said, you're kind of like, is there going to be a happy here somewhere? Something to not make me want to like stick my head in the oven, but you're just kind of, so I liked it. I liked it because it was this really, really long, it forced you to think about it before you put the comic book down. Whereas if those pages weren't there, you'd read it, you'd go, damn, that sucked. And you put it back in the bag and you go on to read our comic. But this made you go flip. And as you're flipping about it, you're still thinking about what happened until you get to the end and go, damn, there's nothing there.
No, you're right. It served its purpose. It served a purpose.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if they had cut pages and there was, 12 pages of story and 7 pages of black, of black pages, I'd be annoyed just because of the maybe because of the dollar value versus what I'm getting. But like I said, them sacrificing the letter page to do it, I'm okay. Be curious. I had conversations with some people on Twitter about what's the trade going to look like, because they thought it was a waste of pages and ink to do that. And I mean, personally, I kind of liked it. So I'm really curious to see when the trade comes out, to find out from people, does the trade have that? Does the trade end, the 7th or 8th trade, whatever trade they're on, does it end with this trail out of 5 or 6 pages of blackness before you then have to wait, I don't know, what, 6 months before the next trade comes out, right? Whatever it is, however long it is you have to wait for a trade. So yeah, interesting.
What do you think though? It feels like it's a mistake. Doesn't it feel like it's some kind of, because they had printing issues last issue of 41. Don't you feel like this had some kind of printing issue?
What the hell is it?
I'm not sure what it is, but look at the trail. You see how the what is this? The fading.
Right. The kind of, because it looks like it's falling. Whatever it is, it looks like it's falling, right? I mean, that's my first thought is, artistically, there's this kind of shadow around it. If you hold it back and don't look at it too close, this looks like a big giant ice crystal or something, and it's falling, because you can see the halo all the way around it, and it's streaking up. Like whatever this is, it's falling. But I don't remember anything in the comic is falling. I mean,
that, right?
The time sink that's swallowing this part of the universe is basically like a giant baby, right? That's just kind of over everything. So I don't get that. And if you look closely at the little stuff on here, these look like conch shells. I mean, they look like seashells of sorts.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the hell this is. Is that supposed to be the planet?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I didn't know. I was just confused.
Yeah.
Cover just didn't make any sense to me. And the last few covers haven't been all that great for me, to be honest. Yeah.
And I'm normally a big Fiona Staples fan. I think she's a great artist and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, this one makes the last one, of course, they had printing error with it, but once they got it printed, it's like, okay, it's a couple people striking a pose on there, fine, whatever. This one though is I don't know. It feels very, I don't know. I'm pretty sure on my video, hey, this is the comics I got this week, I went, what the hell is that? Because I don't know. The more I look at it now, I can at least tell it looks like it's something that may be falling, but I don't know what that is. I mean, is that the planet? I just don't know. Yeah. Is that Fang? Is that what it's called? The planet's called Fang.
I was Fang, but I don't remember conch shells being a part of Fang.
Well, yeah. Other than are the conch shells with the Moonies? What the Moonies are flying around?
Do you think it's their horns or something? Maybe.
Well, I just wonder if those are the ships that the Wreath isn't that where Marco's from the Wreath, the Moonies. Why is it I can only remember the slang? Yeah. I hate that. See how that slang's supposed to be vulgar. But at any rate,
oh yeah.
I don't know if it's their ships, you know what I mean? Because a lot of the ships in this look organic. I mean, the Will's ship looks like an acorn with a propeller on top of it. Their rocket ship is a tree. So I don't know if that's what those are, or I don't know. That part's really strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Now that I think about it too, after discussing about the blackout pages, I think they serve its purpose, and I think maybe it's good that they had it.
It is the planet. It is the planet.
Okay, it is.
Right, because you look at this page here where they're feeding the time sink, and this face right here, this ominous looking face, that's the time sink. Is this giant thing that's consuming everything. Well, you flip the next page, and of course the little mercats are running from it. There it is.
Oh,
that is that, right? That is that.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
So,
see when you put two minds together.
Yeah. So the Fang, the planet isn't round. It's this ugly looking rock that they're on.
Yeah.
But
this issue packed a lot of punches though, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Trauma all over the place.
At least 4 punches that it just hit you with.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be really, really devastated when they read this. I mean, it's just like I haven't read one issue yet that's maybe like almost want to cry. Like
yeah. The babysitter a couple issues ago. Yeah.
It's just sad.
But I like it. Which I don't know what that says about me. Yeah, I like being depressed. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, wow. Okay. What else? What else you want to talk about? I know we have at least one more comic in common. Right on.
Yeah.
No mercy.
Yeah. Loved it. I went back and actually read issue 12 just because we were on Twitter talking to Mr. Osborne, and we were talking about how there was some kind of revelation that may have alluded to what was going to happen in this issue.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yeah, I could see that. I could see where there were certain elements that were in the previous issue, number 12, even though that was mainly focusing on those two individuals. That one girl could speak Korean, and the one African American boy, and them actually being able to try to get their way out of there. I can see where it's kind of started alluding to it turning back into a teen horror movie.
Right. Yeah, it didn't occur to me that they were all on the same beach, right?
Yeah. It did not. Yeah, but I mean, this is really getting.
Oh, this is another comic. This is another comic book that, sometimes it's ridiculous as far as how bad the situation gets, but at the same time, this is one of those comic books that just punches you in the face. It's just like this one. There's like 5 or 6 pages where they're on the beach, all but people, getting high, drinking, dancing, having some good nookie. More likely going to get sand in places where it's going to be really uncomfortable later on, and then it's just disaster. Oh, you're laughing about monkeys. That's why I'm reading it. I'm like, this is fun, haha. And then there's a guy that wakes up. He's, clearly he was just hammered beyond belief, got way too stoned, ate way too many mushrooms, and he's all whacked out, and he, they're kind of in the jungle, and he runs into a monkey, and of course the monkey's freaking him out. So you're laughing about the monkey screaming at him, and him screaming at the monkey, and then he staggers onto the beach, and the beach is total carnage. Which was awesome.
It was horrible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was horribly awesome. I love this too. I really did. Like, it picked right back up from, I think it started kind of going a weird direction at issue 10 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of picked back up from where we knew it to be, like this unlucky group of pre-college students that are just running into a lot of bad luck. And now I'm feeling like, okay, this is back where we're back right back to the place where we started. So now it's kind of becoming more grounded in that ideal,
right?
Where they're just gonna see more suffering before we see anything good happen. And I can't even say we had anything really good happen. Even when something good happens, it feels so minuscule compared to the bad things that do transpire.
Right. Well, it's kind of like, I was thinking at the end of this, I'm like, okay, because they get on the plane, right? The dude gets on the plane at the end of this. Some of the other classmates are on the plane, so they're leaving. At least some of them are getting out of, I don't know what country we're in.
Out of
and they're taking off to go to Miami. They're going to get out of the third world country that's caused all this trauma and whatnot. And and some of the other students are on that, are on the plane. You think they're getting away. And I was starting to think, well, how many people are left? There's the girl that speaks Korean and her friend, those two.
Yeah.
Everybody else is, well, no, then there's also the trans guy. Is he still in country, or is he out of the country now? I can't remember.
What happened to him, because I think that it was it issue 11 maybe that they were featuring just on what was going on with him and his struggles with him being told that he's a girl,
right,
even though
right.
he's
well, there's that one issue that was dedicated to the whole camp. They kind of gave us the horrible stuff that had happened to her, happened to him being at the camp, the conversion camp, and all that kind of stuff. And then the back of the book, all the back matter is statistics and all the people that have gone to these camps and have never come back from the camps, kind of a stuff and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible though. The issue was so tough. It was like, oh my God. Like, touched me too. It was really, that one particular issue. So
I'm always struggling to try and describe this comic as a general rule to people. Is it like survival horror? Is that how you describe the book?
Yeah,
like
definitely survival horror. Yeah.
it reminds me of like a 1980, somewhere in the 80s era, B level kind of a survival horror type movie is what it always reminds me of. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that Chloe McNeil wrote it. I wrote this issue. I like that she wrote it.
So I really like this book. I mean, it's another book that's extremely traumatic. Nothing, even when positives happen, they're not positive long enough to count for anything. But it's really, it's one of those kind of things you can't turn away from. The train wreck, you can't look away from as it's happening, kind of a thing. So no idea what's left, where it's going to go to. I mean, like I said, with these people getting on the plane, how much more stories they're going to be after that, for them. Are we done with that part of it? I know that like that the girl that speaks Korean and the other guy, like he's calling in his dad, who sounds like he works for like the SEAL 6. So are we going to get a strike? Yeah. Are we going to get a strike come down on the guerrillas, or, that sort of thing? It'll be, whenever the next issue comes out. I don't know how consistent this book is, but look forward to it.
Yeah. I look forward to next issue. Every issue that comes out is definitely something that hits my most anticipated read list. And so, yeah, this was definitely a really good issue. Yeah, a lot of things happened. Just for focusing on pretty much less members in the group. A lot just transpired, and it's kind of just gets you ready and pumped up for next issue that comes out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
awesome stuff. Alrighty, I don't know if we have other books that we have in common. I'm not sure.
Okay. I don't know if you got this.
I did. Where the heck is it? I don't have it here with me, but I definitely read it.
Okay. I know there's one book I read that I don't have a physical copy of that I know you got.
Yeah.
And
we'll talk this. The Rise.
Yes, The Rise. This was so good, wasn't it?
Yeah. So this takes off basically anybody who's been reading or not reading Animosity. This is goes back to the first days when the animals first gain the ability to talk and act like us and all of that, for better or for worse. Goes back to tell some more stories around that don't have to do with our main book's characters. I mean, I think I don't think they're in this at all. I think there might have been a panel somewhere in it they had them in. But anyway, so it goes back to that and kind of tells just some other experiences between animals and humans. I thought it was going to be a one-shot. It kind of is a one-shot, but at the same time, at the end of it says, hey, we're going to tell more of these somewhere else down the road. So
yeah, that's what kind of that's a trip that tripped me up, because they said it was a one-shot, but then they alluded to it not being one shot, which I was already in the mood thinking that, okay, this is not going to happen again. So maybe they're kind of doing an annual kind of thing.
Yeah, and that could be.
But I really liked seeing how these animals are trying to organize themselves to take over the world, pretty much, and they're talking to the humans as if, like, again, it's like a Planet of the Apes kind of thing going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
we
have the animals in control.
Yeah.
And we humans are, we are now the animals. We're taking a different role here, and it just the dialogue is so quippy and so smart, and I just love Marguerite Bennett. I love her writing. It's just really good. It was one particular line in here where the bat that was watching one of the main characters who helps it. It said to him, if you have trouble sleeping, count the sheep, but make sure to include yourself first.
Right.
And I thought, what?
Yeah. Here's our big like fruit bat that's hanging in the closet, and she's talking to him as he's trying to sleep, and basically her job is just to watch him, because he helped out some of the animals. So the animals are like, well, we're kind of vouching for you, but we don't really know where your loyalties lie at yet. So you're gonna have a minder. You're gonna have a person that's gonna watch you all the time. Basically, you're on a leash, is really what they're telling you.
Yeah,
you're on a leash. Yeah, and she's hanging there, and she's like, hey, if you have trouble sleeping, You know, try counting sheep, but be certain you count yourself. Begin by counting yourself. It's like, oh no, right? And this guy seems to be nothing but a good guy. You know, when this whole thing craziness happened,
Yeah.
he was riding a bike, you know, along the beach, and the dolphins are badasses. They're killing humans. They're knocking them out of boats. They're eating them up and just tearing them up and stuff. And the sea lions are like, hey, you know, back off, watch out. The sea lions actually smack some of the dolphins to keep the dolphins from like eating a kid or something like that. And one of the dolphins is like, well, if you're gonna side with them, you're gonna pay it. And it rips off one of the sea lions flippers. And so he goes rushing in because he's like a vet. He's like a vet or something. He rushes right in to save this animal. And some other people help him save the animal. And so they've all been given at least a certain amount of, we're not going to just like execute you or feed you to the animals or whatever, kind of a thing, while they decide on where their loyalties are. But the animals are clearly in control of the city. They talk about some of the other cities where the other cities are up in total chaos, but they're kind of bragging about how they took control. You know, they only killed a couple thousand people as opposed to hundreds of thousands of people to get control of the city. They're going to organize. They're going to make laws. You know, they're going to be in control of stuff. That was really fascinating. The birds are like obsessed with smartphones and tablets. The birds want all of the smartphones and tablets.
Yeah.
They're just
You know, I like to see how they refer to the rats. You know how the rats took over Paris,
right.
and how the rats play a big part in this takeover. That's really intriguing to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's clearly fascinating. The birds are just like, are universally awful. In all of the issues we've read, the birds are universally awful. They want to kill humans and whatever else they can kill, seems to be. And so now at some point I'm going to have to see if I can catch Marguerite Bennett and ask her if she like hates birds or something. Because the birds, I don't know what it is. The birds in all of these are just, I mean, the other thing, the birds are evil too. And I don't know if that's you know, for the movie, The Birds, or what the hell it is. But I mean, even like I said, the birds are always just awful. And I think it's interesting that
that old school movie.
Right. Yeah. The Hitchcock movie. I mean, what I think is interesting is they've got the dolphins being total bastards in this. You know, typically we as humans always embody the dolphins as being the things that save us. There's so much like us. And in here, they're just like, you know, they're the scariest, some of the scariest things. Like, thank God they're stuck in the ocean because, man, we'd be screwed otherwise. You know, but yeah, I mean, and it does. It ends with us, you know, see this later kind of thing. I don't know how keen I am on the whole idea of the kind of the foxy, not the fox, but the wolf dog hybrid that's in this. At the end, the desire to get the hands, basically.
Yeah, the
I don't know
and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about that because that implies a technology that I don't think we have. Do we? I mean, can we make robot arms for dogs right now?
I didn't think we could. But
right. I mean,
this is a world where, you know, things that would normally seem impossible or possible.
Sure. Well, yeah, but one of the things that I think makes the story intriguing is it feels like now, except for all the animals.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it makes while you're reading, it makes you think if you have pets, you know, I treat my pets pretty well, but am I treating them well enough? Do you know what I mean?
It does give you that sense though. And I'm like, I don't even have a pet, and I was thinking like, oh my God.
I have 2 cats, and I read this, and then I love them all the more. Use my kitties. Because in this, the cat saves that one lady. I mean, basically, that cat's vouching for the one lady. Oh no, this is my human. Yeah, exactly. My human's fine. My human's fine. So, you know what I mean? It's like, wow.
That's gonna be you. You're gonna be like, please, you better vouch for me.
Oh man, but I don't know. I was happy for the, you know, this. It says there's more later on in the year. Whenever the next one comes out, I'm kind of hoping maybe if it doesn't take off from this story, maybe it's something different, just to give us kind of. But I like this world's fascinating to me. I think you could tell a lot of different kind of stories in this world. So if Marguerite Bennett wants to open it up to a bigger world, awesome. You know,
exactly.
Yeah, fun stuff.
What do you think about the illustration? I like the illustrations on this one more than I like in the regular one. The regular one's fine, but the illustrations were different.
Yeah, Don
Which
Juan.
I
He's got a
appreciate it.
yeah. Yeah, Juan Doe. I mean, Juan Doe. He's got really kind of a simplified kind of a style.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with him other than Aftershocks Comics has another book. Can't remember what the name of it's called now. Dang it. That he does with Brian Azzarello.
Okay. Brian Azzarello. Let's see, John Jones.
American Monster.
Oh yes.
He does that.
I'm not reading.
Right. So I'm familiar with his artwork from that, but I like it. I do. It's a clean style, and I like it better also. I don't dislike the other book, but this is cleaner, neater, and I like that for what this is. Yeah. 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 For sure.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Alrighty. I'll briefly talk this. I don't know. Did you pick up She-Wolf? Have you read
I've read
She-Wolf?
2 issues of it. I've read 2 issues.
And then dropped it, right?
Yeah. It's just I had too much other stuff on my pull, but I did like it though.
Yeah, it's crazy in that first arc, especially to start out with. Like the first couple issues are kind of like absolutely, bug whoppers. I mean, they don't really make a whole lot of sense. You're reading it just going, at least for me, I'm intrigued by this art, but what the F is going on? So this issue is the start of a new arc. It is Black Baptism. All Richard Tommaso, I guess is how you say his last name. This story takes off with the younger sister of the girl that was in the first arc. So we're not following her and her whole werewolf antics anymore, and her vampire best friend and all the craziness that was going on there. This is the younger sister. Starts out at her birthday. It's her sweet 16 birthday. Nobody shows up to her birthday except for her best friend. We find out that the reason that nobody showed up is because, of course, her sister is still, everybody still thinks, even though it was proved not, everybody still thinks that she killed this other kid. So who wants to go to a murderer's house, basically, is when nobody shows up. So they go out and they, play around in a creek, pulling salamanders out and all this different stuff. And they go to a 7-Eleven. She steals a porno mag from the 7-Eleven. She calls it art. Her friend thinks it's, perverted and disgusting. She's kind of a wild kid. You got to get the impression she either is a wild kid or wants to be a wild kid. These guys show up in a her, clearly older guys, wanting to get these young girls like, hey, you want to ride in our car? And she's like, yes. And her friend's like, no, and chases them off and whatnot. She goes home at night. She can't sleep. She decides to dig through her sister's things that she has packed. She finds this stupid magic book that her sister used in the first part. And she kind of looks at it. She falls asleep, I think, and she has dreams, I'm guessing, or she really does at night becomes a werewolf herself also. Shows her briefly like murdering her sister, or not her sister, but her best friend in the creek. And then it kind of weirdly spins it off into this like Conan She-Ra kind of a story at the last half of this book. It's like it kind of like jumps into this fantasy world. So I'm assuming she's dreaming, and it's kind of crazy. It's a book for me. I like the art because it's just kind of weird art, and the story is always so odd that I keep picking it up because I'm just kind of, I spend a lot. Well, here's a double page spread. I just spend a lot of time just kind of going, what the hell is going on? And it's the kind of what the hell is going on that's just intriguing enough that makes me want to keep picking it up. So yeah, I thought it was fun. So I'll keep getting it. Not anything I can recommend to anybody, just because it's so odd. But I like it. I like it because it's odd. Great pinup by Mike Allred in the back of She-Wolf, double page pinup that I really liked. But yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm tempted to pick that up when it hits a trade or something, or maybe if it hits a hardcover. But I do like Tommaso's writing. Tommaso
Tommaso?
writing because I have it's Tommaso because I went and got some back issues of some of his stuff like Collier,
Right.
County, Dark Corridor. I enjoyed those. So
Well, yeah, I know the first trade of this is out. That first trade. So, but it, like I said, I like it, but hard to recommend to people. It's a quirky book with its kind of odd taste to it and whatnot. What else you got?
I don't know if you picked this up, but
I did not pick up Slayer.
Pitless.
How is it?
Very, very bloody. It was very bloody. You talk about diversity, no comparison to what this had. Let me tell you, I had to do a lot of research on this. There were some videos that they told us about in the beginning to kind of get you updated on what Slayer was really about, what this Repentless comic was, and what it embodied. And so I watched those videos, and I felt like they pretty much, you didn't have to watch the videos once I watched them and I read this, because the comic really actually retold what was in the videos and here. And so yeah, it just deals with this one main character who we have on the cover named Wyatt. He apparently was a neo-Nazi.
Oh,
along with his brother. And he has, I guess he reformed and changed his ways. And he is with this wonderful, beautiful Black African-American woman. And he has a child with her. And what happens is, his fellow Aryan Brotherhood, they find out about this. They take it obviously as a big sign of betrayal. And they in the videos too, they take his woman and they murder her right in the very beginning. And this happened in the videos too. So if you watch the videos, it kind of gives away what happens in the comic. But yeah, they brutally murder her. But what they do is they have a bag over her head and they murder her to prompt him, in order to, kill one of the people he was in jail with. He doesn't do it. They kill her in front of him, and it just he goes on on a killing spree.
wow.
And it's crazy. But I want to show some of the comic where you just see all the blood everywhere, just people dying left and right. And also too, what's really crazy is that the murder that when they kill his girlfriend, they kill her down in the basement of this man who's having a family dinner.
Oh,
Just this man is having a family. So this man, like when the guy that Wyatt was supposed to kill, this guy is Mexican. When he's supposed to kill this Mexican guy, when he didn't kill him, obviously, the Mexican guy goes upstairs, and the family is having dinner. The man is having dinner. He takes a knife and tries to attack the Mexican guy, and the guy kills the whole entire family. Just murders the whole entire family. It just, like I said, it's bloody. It's really bloody. It's really crazy. There's people getting faces chopped off and cut off. Like, it's very dark. It's very dark. But if you like that stuff, you like this. I mean, it wasn't bad at all. I liked it a lot. It prompted me to do research on Slayer and what, and kind of what they believe politically, because they're this whole Nazi, neo-Nazi themes running throughout their videos and their music. And then also with the Slayer Repentless comic, I was kind of curious on their fascination with the neo-Nazis and stuff.
right.
And so I found out a lot of things about their band as well. Yeah, and there was some kind of some uproar about their political beliefs and them supporting. I think one of the main band members, he's apparently a Trump supporter. So that's like, I was like, oh my God, did I get a comic of a Trump supporter? I was a little,
Why money go into that? Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was a little befuddled. I was like, oh my God, no, I did not just buy a whole miniseries.
I hear you. Oh,
Yeah.
I'd be in a
was
panic.
like, no, I didn't. I was about to call DCBS and say, cancel the whole damn one.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, it took me down a rabbit hole.
I bet. Oh, but
Murder
it's
and
not.
Mayhem.
It's not. They're telling a story about that. Not. It
Yeah.
is not. It is not them. Right. Okay. So. Okay.
It was a lot of interesting things going on within the comic and within the music. I mean, essentially, it's a concept comic because it's trying
Sure.
to sell this band's records. Okay. And so, of course, they're playing off this whole, the story that they told in 3 different separate music videos. But
Right.
very intriguing. The comic is good, despite if somebody is interested in the music. But yeah, I guess if you go in the path I went by researching everything else, you might kind of
Yeah.
question why the comic is even in existence.
Right. I see in the comments that Gotham Central Luke is saying that that it is based on the Repentless video, and that the video is crazy in big capital letters.
Yeah.
So
well, it's 3 videos, and they're all very crazy, very bloody.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I don't need to.
Yeah.
It's a Slayer product. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Okay, this is what he's saying. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably not for me. So wow, awesome. I'm gonna kind of talk about Revival. This is issue number 46, the penultimate issue. Next issue is the end of the entire series. So I don't want to go into tons of detail on this, other than to say people are dropping like flies at this point. Lots of the characters that are in the book, their stories are being resolved in very dramatic ways and whatnot, which is all kind of exciting and whatnot. People who are kind of have been bastards in this book, some of them, us as readers, I think, are going to go yes, because they're kind of getting what's owed to them because they were such bastards. Horrible stuff's happening to them. You kind of see the writing on the wall where this whole thing might ultimately end up being at. It's still extremely questionable with all these main characters that we've been reading for 46 issues. How many of them are going to be left afterwards? I don't know. I mean, it is a rural noir, and in noir, lots of times nobody comes out smelling good by the time it's all said and done. So, amongst the group of us that have been reading it, I'm always saying that the whole thing's going to just get burnt down. They're going to drop, bombs on the whole place and just blow everybody in Wasilla up and start over. And everybody, no, that'd be horrible. I don't know. I mean, it may be horrible, but that may be ultimately what happens in this, unless there's a few characters who can fix the problem. They've figured out what the problem is, how this all started, and they think they know how to correct it. But it's super exciting coming down to the end of it. I've really enjoyed the run of the book. I know some people have thought it's been kind of dry in places. I think it's been great, even if it has been dry, because it's allowing the story to mature, to have this stuff slowly build up, to give us more time to learn who characters are, to be invested in those characters. So when this stuff starts happening to them at the end, when this trauma starts coming up, it actually means something. Because if I'm introduced to a character in an issue, and by the end of the issue, that character gets, something horrible happens to him, I don't know how invested I am in that horrible thing happened to me. I mean, I have empathy to be able to go, oh, that would suck, but I'm not like, oh my gosh. Whereas, like some of the other books we talked about tonight, like the No Mercy, we're invested in these characters. For 5 or 6 issues, we've been riding along with these guys from the university from England. They've been kind of these party guys. We've been having fun with them for 4 or 5 issues, and then to have something extremely traumatic happen to them in this last issue, it counts. It means more. So that's why I like the length that this has gone to. There's some great stuff in here that I think is kind of tied back to the very first issue. In the very first issue, you get this crazy scene with teeth that I absolutely love. This woman's pulling her teeth out. She says it's because her dentures don't fit right because they keep growing back in, because she's one of those revival people that just keeps coming back regardless of what happens to her. So there's this crazy pile of teeth that these kittens are playing with, and you're like, well, that's just kind of a weird, crazy image. They use that image. They use that image again in here. They tie back into that, and the fact that people's teeth are the last thing to break down. Our teeth are the closest thing that we have in our bodies to it that are immortal. I mean, your bones break down, cook down, fall apart. Fasten your teeth. Do your teeth survive everything? So there's all these teeth all over the place in this issue, which I thought was great to kind of tie back to this is issue 46 that ties kind of back into issue number 1. To me, that's all kind of smart writing and long form storytelling, which I thought was great. And so excited to see how the last issue goes, how this all ends, and what's going to fill this void for me as a reader. I don't know, but yeah, cool. It's been a cool ride. So
yeah, I enjoyed the trades. I dip into guys usually only get Revival and trades,
right.
But I love Revival.
Yeah, it's and I think it's cool, an independent book to go as long as this has, for it to go out this far. Lots of books don't get the opportunity to do that. There's a few Image books right now that have are in the 20s, in the early 20s. So some of those look like they might make it long for them. But I know for a long time it was really hard to get an independent comic book to go, for more than what would be a mini or a maxi series kind of thing, because people weren't invested in them long enough. They weren't making enough money on them to let them go that long. And it's just exciting that independent comics now, at least the Image of independent comics, are getting enough traction that the creators can make enough money that they can go and tell a long story if they want to. Because it's cool, for me anyway, to be able to read these characters for this long and get, 46 issues, that's what, almost 4 years of me getting to read these characters to be invested in them and stuff and whatnot. That is another thing about the big two that I keep going back to, because there is a certain level of familiarity with, the Batmans and the Spider-Mans and stuff like that, because they've been around so long, to build up all that familiarity. Lots of these new books, we don't get that build because they don't last long enough for us to get that. And this is a book where they took the time to do that, and that makes it cool. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Speaking of I guess the whole Image thing too, and them continuing on with long-standing series. There was and then issue No Mercy. Did you notice how when two of those characters were talking to each other, how they were asking each other? He was like, "Do you like?" I think she said, "Do you like comic books?" And he said, and I think he said Image or something.
Right.
I was telling that Image is getting traction with a large audience, because they're able to kind of, say, "Hey, I read Image" within their own comic.
Right. Yeah, I think that book, like Image this month is doing kind of a celebrate Image thing. I think this next week they're doing lots of the Image creators are doing signings all over the United States and places like that. And I think that was their wink and nod to Image Comics by putting, because they talk about Wiccan and Divine in there. They're like, "Hey, do you read Wiccan and Divine? Oh, love it." All that kind of stuff and whatnot. Yeah. Because this month there was also an issue of Shudder that came out that that had a whole bunch of the characters literally in. The main character, Kate, in that book, she actually goes to dinner with friends. And when she gets there, literally, it's got Glory, it's got Invincible is there, it's got Savage Dragon there. She's sitting down to dinner with a lot of the classic, old school Image characters at that dinner. Mm-hmm. So I think some of that has been going on through a lot of the books and whatnot, where they kind of, they play either on covers or in the comics have played homage to the other Image books. Like, I think there's actually a Wicked and Divine. There's a Wicked and Divine variant cover where it's got Kieran Gillian and Jamie McKelvey on the cover, posing like Matt Fraction and Chip Skardowski did on that one variant cover they did for Sex Criminals. So they're mimicking that.
Oh, okay.
So I think there's been a lot of that, which has been kind of fun for them to be able to take the time to kind of play with that and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like Shudder. You mentioning it, I really like Shudder, and I've been reading it in trades, and I always make sure as soon as the trade comes out, I get it. But I just don't know what's going on with that. Like, why is it not more popular? Yeah. Why is it so underrated as far, or no one's not really picking it up? And then I'm trying to figure out what exactly where is it going? Because it feels like it was trying to be something like Saga maybe, but a little bit different.
Right.
I guess as far as the adventure maybe.
Yeah. I really like the book too, but I think it is a failing that there isn't a clear kind of there's these elements that are happening and they're trying to control reality, and of course our heroes are trying to fight against somebody else, kind of controlling their destiny and controlling reality and whatnot. Rich versus poor, some of those things there. But sometimes those elements aren't real strong. So if you don't, I even find myself while I'm reading it, if I don't remind myself that those elements are there, it's such big gaps between issues of they in the book reminding us that that's what's going on, that sometimes it does make it hard. I think that's one of the reasons why it doesn't get traction. I think the art, which I love, I don't think the art it's the coloring. I think it's got a kind of a weird coloring to it. And so it's not the flashy comic book art that a lot of books have. So I think that turns off, the people who normally read just the big two from venturing over into it, kind of a thing. And it's another book you have to be willing to read it for the long haul. I mean, you have to be willing to read a bunch. You have to read, 2 or 3 issues, and then those pieces kind of fit together. But just reading the one issue, you're kind of going, this hasn't given me necessarily anything, kind of a thing. It's a book you have to be patient with, I think. And unfortunately, as trade readers, the last arc is 17 issues or something like that long. So you're going to be waiting like a year plus before the last trade comes out. Which
very true. I mean, I love the art, but goodness gracious, yeah, those arcs are just long, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. It's one of those books that isn't for everybody. Like I said, I really enjoy it, and when those creators move on to other things, I'm curious to see what those other things are, because I plan on checking it out what all of them are doing. So. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. Well, I know there's a book that DeLuca's going to be working on very soon, but I think he's going to be the writer and the artist. I don't know where I read it, but I know that he's going to be doing something very soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Shudder was supposed to be ending last year, but for some reason still continuing on. So maybe they changed their mind.
Well, no, this last year they said we're doing the final arc, but the final arc is huge. It's like a year-long kind of adventure kind of a thing for them to do that. Okay. And they took a healthy break in between. So that's why it's seeming like, okay, we were going to end, and now we're still going for quite a while. But it's coming to an end. It's fairly clear it's coming to an end because the stuff that's happening, like in the issue, I don't know what I did with it. I misplaced some of my books tonight. I'm not very organized. The one I read tonight, for instance, is you can get a sense that some endings are happening for characters. So
yeah,
I would guess that it's not going to be a whole lot longer. So.
Okay.
Yeah. What else you got?
Dead Inside by John Arcudi.
Right on.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this issue a lot. Like, the first issue was good, but there was some times where the writing just felt like, where are we going here? Come on, speed it up. But this right here was just, I think, the right pace. I think the pacing in the first issue was a little slow, but I think it picked up right where I needed it to be, and it felt like an actual pulp crime, story, which is what I wasn't aware that it was in the very beginning. I dropped on just solely because of John Arcudi.
Exactly. Same here.
So I didn't know what I was getting into when I got Dead Inside, but the fact that it had Dead on the title, that was enough for me. John Arcudi being attached to it was an even bigger plus. And so, and then Dark Horse, I love Dark Horse. Mm-hmm. But seeing that, this one sheriff detective is discovering what transpired in the first issue, where there was these 2 inmates, essentially, that one who killed other and then killed himself. Well, now she's finding out that neither one of those 2 are murderers. He didn't actually kill the other one, and she's trying to figure out what's going on in this prison, and why exactly this one inmate swallowed a round, and trying to kind of navigate the resistance that she's getting from the staff within this low-level prison, and also dealing with other personal issues, like her expired marriage,
right,
and then dealing with friends, and then also, I guess, the friendship she has with some people in the department, how things have gone sour with various people due to the way she handles different things. And so, I really enjoyed this. This gave me a lot of insight on who we're dealing with, who this character is. and why she's being treated the way she's treated by her superiors. Because I wasn't too sure in the first issue why, but now I'm kind of understanding.
Yeah, that first issue gives us a situation. You're going, okay, why? I mean, why? Why is she being treated the way she's being treated? Why are they blowing this whole thing off? I mean, because like I said, like you said, in the first issue, we get this kind of murder suicide, and of course, they're just inmates. Who cares? And they're just kind of blowing it. They're just kind of brushing it under the rug, kind of a thing. She's asking more questions than what they want to, kind of a thing. You get the impression she doesn't really want to be there. She doesn't even want to be doing this job. Kind of a thing. You get the impression that she used to be more kind of a somebody, but she's kind of fallen from grace in some sense, but not really any kind of wise to that whole thing. A few great moments of her sitting outside of her house, drinking a beer and staring up at the stars, kind of wondering, why am I doing this? But we weren't being told what that was about. And then you're right. In this issue, now we get clearly things. I mean, before we kind of had a sense that things weren't quite right, but now she gets the information to know things aren't right, that there's clearly some sort of conspiracy going on. We get more, and you're right, we get the more background on that she's kind of damaged goods. Potentially she was promoted because she was a woman, they needed some more women detectives kind of stuff, or that's the implication from the douchebag guys anyway, that's the reason she got the job, of course, is for the quota, not because she's capable of doing a good job. She had problems doing the regular job, so they sent her to the prison because that was going to be easy. That she's basically kind of a problem person. And then yes, she has a problem personal life. Some of those are, I guess, potentially you could consider them typical stereotypes. Cop has a bad personal home life. You know what? I think a lot of cops do have bad personal home lives, though. When you spend your entire life dealing with bad, evil people, your personal life gets wrecked too, I think. So I don't have a problem with some of those kinds of tropes that are in it. So there's just a lot of intrigue around it, and I like all of those aspects of it. I'm going to begin to attempt to say Tony's last name, Tony Fejuzla. There, I'm trying to say it, but yeah. I like their artwork in this because I like Andre May's coloring on it. The coloring is really muted. So I think it works really well. The last work I believe that I saw them do, Greg Rucka wrote a book called The Veil that came out by Dark Horse, and it was supposed to be a horror story. Rucka doesn't normally write horror stories. And I did not like that book. That book, I bought it, I read it all. It was really uncomfortable, and it never really sat well with me. Just not a good book. But it had this crazy art, and it was by this guy, but it was really bright. The colors, I think he colored his own stuff, and it was really kind of a vivid stuff. And it was really kind of strange, kind of like, it felt like his art is very impressionist-like, right? I mean, it's not made up of lots of dots, but it's made up of lots of triangular sharp shapes mashed together to make the human form, kind of a thing. But I like it for this. I think it works well. It works well in this book for telling this story. I'm a big John Arcudi fan, so anything he's doing, I typically am going to I'm gonna check it out because I think he has really good voices. He captures voices of characters really well. So I'm always kind of intrigued by that. But so I always give his stuff a long leash, but I don't know, with this issue, I'm like you. I really dug it. I thought it settled stuff down, answered the questions we need to for us to comfortably settle in to kind of going, okay, this is what we're going to get. Cool. What's going forward. And of course, this one this does a good job of ending on a cliffhanger of oh my God, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure who that is at the very end of the book. Is that the guard?
It was the guy. It was the guy that she remember. It was the guy that she was off. They kept offering him jobs, and he had kind of talked that one guy in Spanish and kind of told him back off of her.
So was that other? Guy. It was the other. It was the other sheriff, the guy that hadn't been promoted yet.
Sheriff. Yeah, but what was crazy to me is how do we end up there?
Right.
So now I'm really curious.
Basically in her driveway. I mean, he's clearly been drinking, but it looks like he's gonna do himself in or something too. So it's it's cool. I mean, I have no idea what the length of this book is supposed to be. I don't think it was named as being one of so many. So however long of a story we get, cool. And I kind of like the idea of most of the story is going to be contained within the prison walls. You know, that's the mystery. But clearly, this personal life stuff too. So yeah, good stuff.
You know, I honestly get the feeling it feels kind of like a little bit House of Penance. You know, like when Ian Bertram, like, it doesn't have the same illustration style, obviously, but I still get that same feeling that carried over from House of Penance to this. And I don't know. And lately, I've been reading a lot of Dark Horse, even the older ones, like, you know, with John Arcuti's the Creep, and I've had that same feeling, that dark, nefarious, you know, very, very creepy feeling. You know, something that on the undertones just really, you know, like what, you know, there's just more things going on in the background. And so I feel that way when I read this too. Like, it's always that one sense, like, we're not getting the whole big picture.
Right. Ryan C., who he must be like moonlighting or something tonight. Ryan C. is saying that it's 4 issues. It's 4 issues. That's what he's saying it is. So wow, if it's only 4 issues, it's only 4 issues. We're gonna, of course, the way Dark Horse works, see it speed up. The way Dark Horse works, we may get 4 issues, and then, you know, X number of months from now, maybe they'll tell us something else. Maybe there's another story, you know, if this works well. Because, you know, they do a lot of that where they'll do like a, you know, like they'll do them in basically like little mini series, you know, kind of a thing. So, you know, who knows? Maybe we'll see more if this takes off and is he's off work.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, if you're off work, you should have come on. But yeah. So I don't know. I like it. I think it's cool. I'm excited to see what it is. 4 issues means we're gonna get this. I'm assuming it's gonna be a tight story then. But 4 issues, that means we're not gonna get slop, I would guess. So that's cool too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think you're right about how the formatting. I think it's definitely going to be something where it's going to be 4 issues, and then they're going to wait for a few months, and then we're going to see another 4 issues, and then another 4 issues. It may be just 3 volumes, which I'm totally fine for. But so far, the way it's going and the pacing, it was a little bit off. But then once we got those questions answered, I'm all for it. I'm all in.
Yeah.
And I did back and forth through BPRD and Hellboy. So yeah, again, I really love John Arcudi.
Yeah, same here. I'm pretty much, you know, whatever he's putting out, I'm trying out, you know, for sure. You know, that's like I say, he does solid voices. So cool. Anything else you want to talk about? I have.
There's a few.
What you got?
Okay. I thought I don't know how I lost it. Lost this one. Here it is. The Black Mask title that just came out, The Dregs, issue number 1. This is a fried pie variant that I got at Chuck and Charles, but I also got the other 2 variants that came out.
Soylent Green is people.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't this the comic where they're eating people in it?
Yeah, it is. It's a cannibal comic.
And that's why I skipped it. I'm like, no, I just.
I would tell you, this was right off the bat. It started off with the cannibal scene where we see this one homeless, you know, drugged out guy get his head shaved. We see his teeth get pulled. We see his head get chopped off, and then he's getting made into a sausage and served to various people in a restaurant. That's just the first 2, and I'm like, whoa.
So
what's going on here?
So they're making sausage for people who don't know they're eating people.
Yeah, I see. They didn't say otherwise, so yeah.
See, I don't need to read stuff like that because then I never want to go out to eat anywhere. So.
I know, it puts you in that mood. Like, you don't like, you know what? I'll skip the fine dining and all these other various restaurants. But well, I mean, after that, then we have his homeless friend, who it seems to be his only friend, who is now searching the city trying to find signs of where his friend disappeared off to. And there was some kind of disconnect in here too, where he somehow ends up in this 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 business development meeting where the town people are trying to, you know, decide whether they want to allow this business to kind of overtake the city, this Canadian city, and actually start developing buildings and kind of helping economize the area. And then we see where this one main character attacks this one business owner, this guy who's actually helping develop the area. And of course, this one who's developing the area, this businessman, has something to do with these people getting taken off the street. These homeless people getting taken off and getting murdered and eaten. And so this has been apparently going on for a long, long time. So far, it's been a pattern that this homeless man has actually been able to calculate and notice. So it's been like maybe 4 or 5 people that disappeared that he knows in his circle, and so he seemingly goes throughout the city, marking off various places where people have been taken and trying to figure out what's going on and how it somehow connects to this one business. And he wants to be, at the forefront solving this. Of course, at the very end, we see this man get captured himself, and we don't know what his fate's going to be. It ends on a cliffhanger, but I have to say this was very, very good. And it was actually one of the first stories I read this week. That one with loose ends. So it just definitely I had a great start off.
Sure.
With my comics. But I liked it a lot.
Cool. It sounds cool if you're into people eating people.
Who is it?
Ooh. Oh.
I know, right?
Oh. Yeah, like I said,
it definitely leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I thought about getting it, but then I was like, no, I just know that I'm just gonna be like, yeah. No.
Yeah.
No. So I also picked up Hellboy, the winter special. This thing comes out every year. They do a winter special kind of thing. It's usually a couple short stories. Not always around Hellboy, but at least the Hellboy universe. I like the opening story. It was just a quaint little story. The winter special. It has to do with it has the same artist that did the Black Hand work in it and whatnot. So that was kind of cool. The middle one was odd. It's a Hellboy story where a guy who's being Santa Claus gets possessed by something. They get into a fight with it. Some mystery character shows up and tells them how to fight the Santa Claus and stop it. That story worries me some because it shows me some art and stuff that there's a new book, Hellboy Universe book coming out that's called The Visitor. And I plan on getting it because I get all the kind of Magnolia Universe kind of thing. And the Visitor is an alien. This is the Visitor. He's an alien that shows up and solves crimes or something like that. I don't know exactly what he does, but I'm going to get it. But this is the art that's for that. And it's not exactly what I was hoping for. It's so far removed from the style that is most of the Magnolia Universe kind of stuff that I was kind of surprised to find that this is what this is going to be. It reminds me of the guys that do Tiny Titans. I can't remember their name.
That power. It looked like a Superpowers illustration style, kind of similar to
right.
DC. Like it just looks very hideous to me.
Yeah, and I don't hate it, but it does. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't capture for this like little short story here. It's fine, but I don't know. I'm not really excited about an entire series with that kind of art. And my understanding is that that's going to be the artist in the book. So now I'm not so excited by that book. I guess we'll see when I actually get it, but I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, I read this issue this week too. I wasn't really fond of that story.
Yeah.
Particularly.
And of course I like the Last Witch and Farival, the very last story in here. The art is by one of the Funarama brothers, Sebastian. I like the Funarama brothers. They make some great art. They did a lot of the art for the Abe Sapien story that was out for quite a while for 30 some issues. So I liked it. It's a nice little simple kind of bump in the night kind of thing that a lot of this kind of stuff is. So I enjoyed it. And the Darrow back cover is fun too, just because it's Darrow art. I just love the fact that we're staying out in the middle of the desert. There's there's a little bit of snow. There's all these penguins flopping around. Hellboy's got a finch on his finger. And then there's like I don't know, a pterodactyl or something standing on top of the rock. It's just so random that
Yeah.
Steve Darrow is awesome. So
Yeah. I love me some Jeff Darrow. I always love seeing him on something.
Yep.
I read this
Yeah.
issue. My favorite was the Christopher Mitten story. I just love Christopher Mitten and his art. So that was my favorite one out of that one. And the third story was also really good too as well.
Yeah.
The art being a highlight.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that second story was not that illustration style was not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, I'm kind of like thinking, oh man, that's not going to be. I'm not so excited about that series that's coming out now. Once I found out that was going to be the Arslan book, I'm like, really? This just so not the vibe. But anyway.
Yeah.
What else? What else you want to talk about? I'm pretty much tapped out. So whatever you want to talk about.
Did you recast Lady Castle?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. I know I read that, but I guess we could talk about Vamp Blade.
Okay.
The latest issue of Vamp Blade, issue 12. I really like this issue. I had jumped right back in. I keep jumping in and out of Vamp Blade because to me it's not on the same level as I view Zombie Tramp. But this was a really particularly interesting issue because it had a lot of a lot of satire where this one vampire quite a few times by Janie, the character of Zombie Tramp, where now this character Katie Carva, who is the main character of Vamp Blade in this particular comic, she's now defeating him. And we find out that his vampire, I guess his whole entire brood of vampires are being kind of brought to life by the Drumpf Tower. And that, yeah, so it was really funny just seeing that, and then just seeing her kind of like destroy the Drumpf Tower. And
of course the Drumpf Tower is spawning evil, huh?
Yeah. It was just really fun to see that, and I was like, you know what? I needed a little bit of humor in this in this sick, sad world that we live in. But yeah, it was a really good issue because we see her defeat this one vampire who has no crotch. His crotch has been ripped off. I'm assuming by Janie, since she likes to do a lot of that.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we see her kind of transform because she carried around these two blades, and these blades are sentient in some way. So they kind of transformed her into the blades themselves. And so we see her kind of battling all these penis worms, and the other vampires that somehow inhabit the Drumpf Towers, and then kind of just seeing her kind of destroy everything, and then her friends coming and helping and kind of come getting her, and by the end of it they just go and have themselves some shawarmas. So
of course.
Yeah. Yes, I loved it. It is a good issue. It just played on so many different things that we're seeing right now in the media, and I just loved it. I just love this.
Gotta have some fun. So
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
But very, very good comic this week.
That's awesome.
You said you're tapped out?
I am.
Okay, I can mention a few more if you want me to.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Ether.
How is that?
And I'm really enjoying it. It's just I love the art so much. The art is just so light. It's so different than what you experience with regular Matt Kent. Even though I love Matt Kent's illustrations, I honestly would prefer it more than what I'm seeing with this comic. I really enjoy trying to find out exactly who this guy is. He's a scientist who travels between our world and this world of Ether. But I like seeing how he approaches magic as if it's just a science. It's an archaic science in his mind, and that there's nothing really to it. How it's just very simple. And I love seeing how they keep going back in flashbacks, showing his prior life before he even gave magic a thought. Because he just rebukes anything magic. He didn't believe in it. And so at one point when he took on his one position with his agency, he was exposed to magic in a portal that led him to this one world of ether. And so in this, they left on the cliffhanger, a really good cliffhanger, where his girlfriend, who approached him and kind of made him kind of start wondering about magic. We see her talking to him at the end of the issue and kind of have a discussion with him about some secret that she's been holding that has to do with the world of ether. And so I'm kind of assuming that maybe it's going to have to do with her being from ether and kind of explaining him why he shouldn't go there and how it's going to have a lot of negative effects on him, which we do obviously see in for issue 1 and 2, where he's homeless in the real world now. Like, he's a homeless vagabond, and when he goes to the world of ether, he's just a scientist exploring. So it's getting better. It's a little dragged out more than I would like it, but I still enjoy it. I think it's gonna be maybe, I don't know. I don't think it's a mini. I think it's gonna be ongoing or something. It seems like gonna be something that's dragged out a little bit more.
Cool.
Which is unusual for Dark Horse.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm regretting not having picked it up.
Yeah. It's really cool. Like even the way you enter the portal to get over to the world of ether, you have to, like, he says, what you do is you have to commit suicide pretty much, or what you're doing is you have to be in a frame of mind where you're ready to die. That's the only way to enter. So he's literally taking himself in a place where it's physically grueling and mentally grueling. Wow. Just to enter this magical realm. And so it's really intriguing, like, that he has to literally bring himself to the point of where he's willing to die to enter this world, just to explore. And he's been in this world, this world of ether thousands and thousands of times, to the point where he's really fluent in a lot of the languages throughout this land, where everyone knows him, where he's already developed enemies and friends. And so it's like, this man must be crazed. I mean, or sometimes it's lingering throughout whether this world is even real.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Yeah. Huh. Cool.
But I enjoy it. And it's only on issue 3, so if you wanted to pick it up, I suggest it.
Yeah, cool.
I recommend it. Let's see. This is something that I absolutely loved. Island 731 by American Gothic Press. This is issue 3. This is a really, really good series. I absolutely loved it. It's dealing with a group of I guess scientists and various other groups of people that somehow got stranded, shipwrecked onto an island, where they find out that the island is inhabited by several different chimera animals. So they're hybrids. They're animals that have been fused, different animals that have been fused together, like a crocodile fused with a squid. And so they're encountering all these monstrous creatures, and they're killing off the crew. And it's somehow related to the 731 experimental groups that existed in World War II, I believe, or World War I, that carried over from the Japanese. So it's kind of like relating back to some things that happened probably in actual history. So it takes that concept and it changes it into a horror comic. And the illustrations are done by Zornow, who also does some covers for several different comics, like The Mummy Hammer, which is released by Titan. I absolutely love the coloring and the illustration in here. Some nice pages, some dark pages, but you can't see it here, but it's just like the coloring is just really, really nice. And I guess here's some more. But just seeing the seagull is like it has some piranha teeth in here. So it's just like all these different hybrid animals just attacking these people. And they're just trying to figure out why exactly they're being attacked. Why is this island? Where's what's going on in this island, and where the crew members are being taken off to, why they're being killed and experimented on. It's a pretty cool book. The first 2 issues were okay, but the 3rd issue was just really, really good, and I enjoy it. I really do. I like what American Gothic Press is doing with this whole horror genre, and how they're adapting a lot of novels into single issues.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a comic that I definitely recommend. They
Looks
did
cool.
they pushed back the fourth, fifth, and sixth issue though. So
Ah.
yeah, unfortunately, but
No, so you get some of these smaller press books and whatnot. Do you see that happen quite often with these smaller
yes,
press books that they struggle to keep on a schedule?
yeah, I do. I do. Actually, like a large part of my pre-order for, it was a month or two, it was 2 months, 3 months ago, have been like are still not fulfilled because they've been pushed back so drastically. So my, me, my weekly pull has gone up so much more than it usually does. Like usually I'm getting like 9 to 10 books a week. Well, now I'm getting like 20.
Right. Because they're finally starting
And
to show
I'm
up.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I finally get more books. But yeah, it kind of sucks too because these books were supposed to come out, and this particular issue, number 3, should have came out a long time ago.
Right.
So it was really delayed. Mhm.
Yeah. Sometimes that makes it hard to stay on a book when it's the one downside to some of the smaller presses that they are a little. I don't know if I want to call it less professional, but it's just that not staying on some sort of a schedule. It makes it tough for us as the readers, or when we're ordering the books. If it's been long enough since the last issue comes out, you're not thinking about it. Or at least sometimes that happens to me anyway. I'm not thinking about it, and then I don't go and order the next issue. And then suddenly the issue after that is, being solicited. And I'm like, oh, hell, I didn't even get, number whatever. It makes it tough sometimes. And I bet you it's
Yeah,
really tough for like a comic book store. How do you put that on the shelf when it is that inconsistent? Because as a local comic book store, that shelf space costs money, right? So you don't want to dedicate it to a product that is hit and miss. That makes it tough.
exactly. And a lot of these comics that I end up reading, like even this Arclight by Brandon Graham Murray and Marion Churchland, is released through Image, but again, it's been pushed back so many times, and it's like
Right.
really cool story, but
Issue
it's just
4, and
like,
it started a year ago, kind of a thing, right? So
yeah, yeah, it's absolutely crazy to me. And then I guess I'll bring up this last one, but this comic, Planet of Demons by Migo Comics. Again, this one was delayed for a little while and hard to get a hold of, but issue 2. This comic is pretty darn good. Like I mean, honestly, more enjoyable than I initially expected. It deals with the times when we had witch trials, and it deals in we have the timeline where we're having the main character Amos Deathridge, who is a magistrate. Okay, and he and his timeline before he traveled down to the underworld of Calyptoth, which is also hell. But we see him kind of put people on trial and have people hanged or burned at the stake for being demons or in cohorts with the devil.
Mhm.
And so we see different flashbacks with the character and his struggles with people that he's or the spirits that have, or souls that have been released from the bodies, being him encountering them in this underworld, and also him talking about the reasons why he is down in the underworld, which is primarily because of choice. He decided to actually travel down to the underworld, stay there to actually stop demons from taking over and entering a portal to go to Earth and cause mayhem. And so we see him at this point in this particular issue travel with this one queen of the succubus who was incubated, and he came to her right before she was hatched, and she's embodying this soul, or soul that's inside of her is a soul of a person that he executed in his past. And
Wow.
so he doesn't know exactly who it is just yet, but we're gonna probably find out very soon. But it's just a really good comic. It's just a lot. It just I'm enjoying it more than I thought.
So
Yeah.
is the art inside look like the cover?
Yeah, it actually does. It looks.
Wow.
I love. I actually love. Actually, the art is even better if you see it.
Yeah, right on.
Um, and of course, when it's in the world of Calyptoth, it's more color. It's not as muted. But of course, when we go back in his flashbacks, it's a lot more sepia toned, and we're not
Right.
seeing as much of the bright pops of color. But it's definitely something I highly recommend for those who likes this whole Salem witch trial kind of thing. But it's not really saying we're Salem witch trials. It's more so in a different part of Massachusetts. And then it's where you're seeing Christianity be a main focus on why they're sacrificing these people to the fire, and how it's a struggle between good and evil. So if you're really into that kind of thing, then I think this will be a really good book.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Why not? Cool. I see you dip into a lot of stuff that a lot of the rest of us don't dip into at all. So
yeah.
Which is good.
Had a nice couple of new books out here that are really. Yes, indeed.
Any others you want to talk about?
I have a few more.
Awesome.
You want me to?
I'll keep listening.
Okay, cool beans. I guess I could talk about Dante, the one shot.
Okay.
I don't think you picked that up, but this I love Derek Robinson's illustrations. Like anything he's usually attached to, I'll grab it just for his illustrations. But Matt Hawkins, I'm not so much of a fan of Matt Hawkins. He does Postal. I don't know if you've read that,
right.
but wasn't a big fan of that series. The writing was very, very predictable in this series. We're dealing with a guy who's an assassin, a hitman of sorts. He works for a organization where he kills for a living. He enjoys it. He has a family at home, and so he decides he wants to get out of the game. He gets, he finds out when he goes on this one last hit of his that the organization does not want to let him out, and they decide to kill him. And then he,
right.
It's just very, like, again, step for step.
By the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, by the numbers. And what's so crazy about this is that when I read the first half of this, I was like, this exactly has been taken out of the Archie Comics, Dark Circle Comics, The Hangman.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you read The Hangman, but the first few issues was this. I was like, this is The Hangman. Why am I reading this again? And so yeah, I was a little upset about it. I was like, why am I reading The Hangman? I read this already.
Right.
But so again, it really highlights how much I don't like Matt Hawkins in his writing, if anything. So yeah, the one shot wasn't. I mean, it ended off on a note where you could tell that they wanted to continue on somewhere else. I guess the square bound. However, the cover was the same thickness as usual comic book covers, so nothing. It wasn't like a square bound that was of a thicker paper stock or anything. And the illustrations are good, but the premise is just this guy pretty much trying to right all the wrongs, because he gets caught up in where he murders an innocent person, and then he's cursed by a woman, and he has to try to pretty much go and just do right by all the people he's killed. So it ends on a very very one stop kind of one note kind of thing. I didn't really care for it, but it was something I read.
Yep.
And I guess I could talk about ArcLight.
Sure.
I mentioned. This again, it's I don't think we're getting any closer to really knowing what's really going on. It's still very mysterious. Not a lot of dialogue. It's just more world building, but in the way where we're giving illustrations. Like you're still not kind of told why this one woman, the lady, they call her the lady, why she inhabits the body of this alien, and why the aliens is inhabiting her body, and then also what these aliens mean. What are they trying to do to these people of this kingdom or this land? But I absolutely love what the illustrations embody. I like seeing the coloring and seeing what's going on in the story. I just don't know what exactly is transpiring. Like I read it and then I'm left with all these questions and wondering if next issue is gonna kind of relay what the story's about.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful looking book, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, which is why I keep getting it. Otherwise, there's not much story there. But I really do like it. I really do like it a lot. I know I have a feeling that it's going to be a long time before we find out. Hopefully, it doesn't keep getting delayed like it does. But I was talking to Sleep Reader, and we were both talking about how it just reminds us both of a very, like, I guess, Mobius kind of work where you have this really super fantastical world, but then again, it's this element to it that is not really giving you a lot of detail on what this world is and why there's a lot of gender swapping, the roles being swapped, and how I guess just how these aliens came to be into this planet, and how do they know that these are even aliens? So
Right.
a lot of questions, just more questions than answers, if anything. But I enjoy it.
I haven't been picking it up. I want to. So for me, I know it's a trade. It's something I'm just gonna, at this point in the game, I want it because I know I'm gonna like the art. I'll buy it in trade. Image is usually is pretty good about their trades, so I'll be checking it out that way.
Yeah. I guess that's it. Cause I mean, all I have left is some Titan comics that the World War X, the Mummy, and Mask Anomalies, which I think all of them are really, really good, all in their own respective. And I don't know if you want to hear about these, but
So, are there any Titan books you're not getting? Are you you're getting most of the Titan books, aren't you?
I know, right? I would get most of them. I'm not getting any of the Assassin's Creed or the Doctor Who.
So you're not getting the licensed stuff.
Yeah, I'm not getting licensed stuff. Like I do kind of sometimes dip in and out of the Torchwood when I have a little room, a little wiggle room. But I did start picking up the Call series.
Oh, okay.
I haven't read it yet, and then I was tempted to jump into that Chimera Brigade, but yeah, I'm picking up every single comic that's coming out under Titan. I pretty much get like all the hard case crime. As you know, I love that. The assignment. I loved it so freaking much. It was just so good. And they have a new one that's going to be coming out called Anno Dracula.
I'm getting that. I ordered that. You guys have been talking about the stuff so much. I'm like, okay, I'll give them a try again because it's been a long time since I've read Titan comics. And I didn't really care for what I tried initially, but I'm like, okay, you guys keep talking about all this stuff and whatnot. So this time around, when I was ordering my comics, like, okay, there's something new. I'll jump on that. We'll see what that ends to be like. And I as much as people say vampires are played out, I like vampire stories. So I'll check it out and see what that's going to be like. So I'll be on board for that anyway. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely on board for that. Are you going to check out Sky Doll? Because that's what was originally a French European comic. So I'm just so into the European comics, and I had to give that a try.
I didn't get that one. Should I be picking that up too?
Definitely very. Yeah, that one's coming out right around the Anno Dracula, and that one is a space opera. So I don't know if you like. I mean, you like Saga.
Okay.
Saga's a space opera, so I think you would like this. I think you would like Sky Doll. And they have some really cool covers by Barbara Bucci. I think you have to pronounce his name, Barbucci. Okay,
I'll go back and check it out. I can edit my orders still, so I'll go back in and see if I feel picking it up.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, I just make sure I keep up with Titan because they're going to be releasing more hard case crime, and honestly, the hard case crime is just they're killing it. Yeah. I just want to see more. If they had like at least 2 of them every month, like they do, like they're doing the People and then Trickerman.
Cool. I'll keep my eye out. Like I said, you guys keep talking about it, so now I'll have to. Yeah, another company I'll have to watch and start trying some stuff out and see what it's all about.
The Hammer Comics too is going to be releasing the next, the Dracula one very soon. Mm-hmm. So this Mummy one is wrapping up. The Palimpsest Mummy, that one's going to be wrapping up, and they're going to be probably releasing the vampire, Dracula. So
cool. Mm-hmm. Alrighty. I don't think there's like independent news that I am aware of to really talk about otherwise and whatnot. Anything else we think we want to talk about? Anything coming up? I don't even know what's coming out next week. I mean, is there anything like?
What about the Archie comics? Riverdale came out. The Riverdale.
Oh, yes. So I watched the first episode. Yeah.
And it's a good time because they pushed back the Riverdale comic. They actually canceled it, and so people may want to get on to actually pre-order it for this next solicits because that's going to be a first this is a show. It's probably a
Sure.
good time to
So
grab that.
do you think that the Riverdale comic is going to be anything like the Riverdale show?
I assumed it was gonna be. I assumed it was. I mean, it seemed like based off of the previous description, it was gonna be very close related to the show. And then also the notifications I got in by DCBS alluded to it being very similar too.
Mm.
You know,
I mean,
when they made sure to watch the show.
yeah. So, you know, before the show came out, you see these ads for it, and the ads to me struck me as being very kind of Twin Peakish, in, you know, it's kind of dark, this overturned
Yeah.
boat, very, and even the show itself has some. I mean, it's a CW show. I mean, it clearly has the CW kind of stuff to it to some degree, but it also has that kind of weird, you know, there's a crime, you know, somebody has died in it, and so it has this kind of weird elements. I'm not an, I mean, up front, I'm not an Archie reader. I have the only Archie comics I own, I got within like the last 2 or 3 years, and they were gifted to me, you know, as people my parents knew, you know, as their loved ones died, I've inherited their comics, and it have some Archie comics that I just have. I've never read Archie comics. I think I read the first issue of Archie Afterlife off of Sleep Reader 66's tablet one time when I met him, and that's as close as I've come to reading Archie type stuff, really. So, you know, I know who all the characters are. I know kind of what their, you know, what their roles are, you know, who Jughead is, who, you know, Veronica, Betty, the love triangle thing, all that kind of stuff. I have an understanding of all of that. I've always sided with Veronica, only because quite honestly, I like brunettes better than blondes. So, but so we get to the show, and so I'll watch the show, you know, open-minded, you know, whatever it's going to be and whatnot. I absolutely love Veronica because she's sharp-tongued. She's extremely literate, obviously. I mean, because she constantly referred to these. I don't know if the character's like that in the comic book, but, you know, she's this kind of really literate person. I'm like, I really like this girl, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm like gonna rush out and watch the show every week, you know. But it was an interesting. There's some odd moments in it too. The we're gonna be edgy, so the lesbian kiss during the cheerleader tryouts. I don't know if that was necessary, but
yeah.
What did you think of it?
I really enjoyed it. I really did. And you know, honestly, like you, I wasn't really into Archie comics as well. My experience with Archie has grown from me jumping into the Chilling Tales or Chilling Adventures with Sabrina and the Afterlife with Archie, because those are horror, and love horror. I love horror. I'm a huge horror. And so, yeah, the horror, jumping into it, I was like, okay, you know, so that was my journey into the Archie comics, because before then I thought, oh, they're just goody two-shoe comics, you know, like, you know, and I'm not really into that stuff. So, yeah, those Afterlife with Archie and the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina really got me curious about every single thing that they come out with now, you know, especially if it has Robert Hack, you know, Roberto Sacasa and Francavilla attached to it. I'm just like really in, because I love Francisco Francavilla, you know. But
it's amazing, right?
Yes, exactly. So I really, you know, it definitely, when I was alerted that the show was gonna be coming out and I watched it, I really enjoyed it. I could see myself definitely watching it every week. I don't think I'm gonna watch it on time, but yeah, I'll watch it for sure.
Well, I was interesting. So, I mean, so now I am kind of curious about the Riverdale comic, just because clearly they're definitely putting a modern spin. I mean, the show has definitely got a modern spin to it. It's not, you know, it's not wholesome. I mean, heck, even Archie, who I'm assuming is like the original books anyway, he's kind of the all-American wholesome kid. Well, you know, this Archie clearly had a really good summer. Other than the hearing the gunshot and all that kind of stuff on the 4th of July. I mean, at least from my perspective, he had a decent summer. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I am curious. I have to admit, I am curious. You know, if it's going to be strange, or if it's going to be, closer to a soap opera. I'm is the part that I'm curious.
I'm so hoping it's gonna be. I'm so hoping it's gonna be strange more so than soap opera.
Yeah, and like
I'm
I'm curious. I'm
hoping
curious
it's
to see.
strange because
I'm curious to see how much more of a role Jughead plays in it. For instance, what's that character's position going to be? Is he just going to be the narrator? I mean, is that going to really be kind of his role through the entire thing?
Yeah.
Or is there more there, or that sort of stuff and whatnot. And I mean, like I said, I not a long-term mention. I'd be curious to hear somebody who's grown up with Archie, that's a long-term Archie fan, what they thought of it. My other half, that's what she read in comics as a kid, was Archie comics and whatnot, but she didn't have a really opinion one way or the other on it as far as the show went. My kids have like zero idea who Archie is. So for them, it was just a show, and these are the people in the show kind of thing. I mean, I'm like going, you guys used to watch reruns of Sabrina, Teenage Witch with Salem, the talking cat. That's an Archie comic. It is, okay. So, I mean, so they have like I said, zero clue and no reference as to what the hell that is. So to them, it had no meaning and whatnot. But so I need to find somebody who's an old time Archie reader to see what their thoughts are on the new spin. But I guess all their comics have been, they've relaunched everything and it has a more modern take on it. So
yeah, it's honestly, it's a good time for comics these days. Like, I mean, people are relaunching and revitalizing these old, decrepit series, and it's just like they're bringing life back into them, and I love seeing it. And I know Dan Parent left, which I guess was kind of like maybe hard on Archie, but then it just really brought out this new take on Archie comics, and I just love it. I love seeing what I'm seeing. It's sad that Dark Circle and Red Circle have been abandoned in some ways, where a lot of series have been dropped off, pushbacks, because like the Hangman and Black Hood have been like pretty much dropped off for a while. But I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. Like, I even picked up that one shot they're gonna have for Sabrina. So I'm wondering if they're gonna be doing some kind of show with her now, like doing a new show for Sabrina, if they're doing a Riverdale show. And of course, was it the Archies? I'm picking that one up as well. Looked like they had a nice little cover by Jaime Hernandez, of the
right.
So of course I had to get that one, since I like Love and Rockets. So
yeah. So I don't know. It's like I say, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I guess how it pans out, and it didn't. My understanding is it didn't get really great ratings though. But it doesn't have. But I also know it doesn't have to have the kind of ratings that some of the other main channels have. I mean, CW, what's a mediocre show on some of the other channels, or what they would consider a mediocre show, for the CW is a super successful show, kind of a thing. The ratings that Supergirl was getting when it was on CBS made it not a successful show. Those same ratings over on the CW means it's a dynamite show. So, I think that's probably part of it too. So I don't know how that all plays out and whatnot, to see what all happens. It'll be curious.
Yeah. Speaking of Supergirl, did you see on Twitter the pictures of her at the march?
Yes.
I love her. I love her sign.
Yeah. That was funny because I saw that picture and I'm like, we're not up to date on the show, but my whole household watches it. And I'm like walking around going, hey, check this out. Everybody's looking at, oh yeah, that's a funny sign. No, do you know who that is? Like, that's Supergirl. I mean, that makes the sign even better. Come on, So
yeah, I know, right? I was like, I wasn't even into Supergirl, but now I totally am. So,
right.
I might pick up the comic.
Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, that was pretty fun and good for her. Not to be worried about what the backlash is from that and whatnot. Because I would assume anybody who's watching that show, because that show is very empowering, very. I've been on the Comic Roundtable many times. That people in the comments, tell me it's awful, it's pandering, it's millennial bullshit or whatever. I totally disagree. For young girls anyway, at least the first season that came out, like I said, I'm way behind as far as watching this season. It's empowering. It's about being a good person. It's about having the ability to do what you want to do. all that positive female power stuff is all there in it, and I think that's awesome stuff. So
yeah. Well,
it's not supposed to be a book for a 47-year-old dude. So go watch something else. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? That just went reading the Odyssey of the Amazons was just like that. It was just some people probably find it pandering. Well, I found it very empowering because you see these very strong women, in the roles of where we would usually see a man. And so, I really enjoyed this comic, even though, like I said, it had a lot of stuff, a lot of writing and things to read. It was, again, enjoyable because of the fact that you see these women in these strong, very powerful roles, which is very realistic,
Yep.
And it should be that way.
Yep.
But
just those guys with their fragile egos that get intimidated by all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Embrace it or move on to something else. It's that easy. It really is. Don't buy it. Don't read it. Just go buy something you're going to enjoy. Go
to your back issues,
right. Or go buy that latest issue of Rawhide from IDW or whatever, if that's your gig. So whatever,
Exactly. Yeah, I'll complain about all the new comics being so so SJW or and all this. But yeah, really, honestly, if you don't like it, go back to your back issues. Go read your
there's a million other comics. There's a million other comics. It's not like even other modern comics. If that's not your bag, there's a ton of other comics. Those comics are still not the predominant comics. I mean, they're not, unless you're working really hard to make them all that, somehow you're going to, twist the story to make it something else. There are a ton of books out there that are still dude bro books. So we're all okay. Yeah. We're all okay. Yeah. This just gives everybody the ability to have something, and we should all be happy about that, because that just means more comics are being sold. And we have to find, as far as an old comic book reader goes, have to find new people buying and reading comic books, or the art, the art that is comic books will die. It'll just completely disappear. So
yeah, exactly.
So,
but anyway, I think it's all the things I think I can remember about the indie news. I mean, of course, there's things coming out, but nothing I think that's gonna line up with where is any kind of speculation to buy a particular issue based on anything, Yeah.
I'm not a speculative buyer anyway, kind of a thing. So somebody, I don't even look, and everyone's all be on Twitter talking with the guys, and they'll be like, oh, you just see the, number one of something, some current something or other is now going for some crazy price. They're like, seriously? Wow. I just kind of, some of that stuff is shocking how much some of that stuff goes for, but yeah.
It is.
So I don't know. I don't know how all that stuff works. The whole speculative, secondary market kind of stuff.
I don't either. Crazy. I don't either. I just quietly shake my head.
Yep. So,
I mean, you just,
I don't sell my comics though either. Even the stinkers, I hang on to them. It remind me that I buy bad comics occasionally. So, I guess, but
yeah.
Anyway, well, Rez, thanks.
I've always sold comics that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, so thanks for coming on and talking comics with me this week. I really appreciate it. I miss being on, and I certainly enjoy talking with you. You read so many comics that a lot of other people don't read, so that's awesome, because then we get to hear about them, and you take the risk for us, and then we can hear about them, and we can go, hey, that's cool, and then we can go pick them up. So they're gonna have to start paying you royalties. Titans Comics has got to start paying you royalties for how much you're pimping their stuff. So yeah. So anytime. Maybe we'll be back next week. Talk more comics or whatever.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we're gonna call it a night. Appreciate everybody who's come on and talk. As per usual, I'm abusive and don't pay that close attention to the comments. So shame on me. But thank you guys for commenting, having your own chats in the live part there. Always appreciated. People who've watched live tonight, certainly we appreciate that too. And anybody who watches it later on, drop down, leave a comment. happy to talk some comics, and we'll see whenever the next time is. Don't know, but whenever that is, we'll be around. And check out Rez's channel. We might see more stuff from her. I hear rumors that we might see more stuff from her at some point. So check it out. Anyway, have a good night, everybody.